Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to SuperCoach Edge. And we're doing a little bit of a rare live stream here. Don't know if it's going to actually kick off and have any people tuning in. It is, of course, 1:45 here on a Friday night. But I figure, hey, we're all still invested in SuperCoach in some way, shape, or form. Of course, it was a little bit of a havoc round, as we know, round 18. But hopefully, you had a few trades up your sleeve to counteract that and bring in some players that are suitable replacements. But I do know there's been quite a few people sliding into our DMs asking for advice, which guys to go for. Do they go all out for the Brody Grundy? Do they go a bit of a sideways trade from Cherry to Gawn, who I think is an incredible replacement in itself, considering his price point and what he probably should be priced at, given his output, and as well as all the other issues that we've had across the board. Horn Francis, Connor Rosie, thankfully, only out for this week, hopefully. We're thinking, we're hoping, we're praying that it's only going to be a 1 week injury. But who knows, of course. But SuperCoach, it has thrown up some issues. This time of year, it tends to happen every single year. Around about round 18, last year it hit me in a really big way. And I might actually, I don't know if I can go through and check out the issues that I had last season, but it was virtually to the tune of I had Took Miller, Maxi Gawn out in the same week. I brought in McKercher as sort of my, 23rd man, primo, if you want to call it that, cover off the bench. And I ended up having some more injuries off the back of that as well. I had Kerno go down. I had Rankin, who I brought in, and he went, I think he got suspended first up for 3 weeks or thereabouts for his hit on whoever he ironed out, concussed. And then he himself got concussed the week back. So I think I had Rankin for a total of the last 7 rounds or 8 rounds, I think it was. No, 7. It might have been 7. And he played 2 games, one of which was, I guess, affected in the sense that he'd ironed someone out and didn't perform to his peak. And then it was the game that he was ironed out and concussed himself. So that virtually summed up my season to date, 2024. I slid down the ranks. Had to gobble up a 0 as well on the run home. But this time around, a bit of a different kettle of fish. We, of course, have the flex this time around to give us a little bit of coverage. So you don't necessarily have to trade if you don't want to. So it's a little bit of a conundrum, bit of an awkward one, though, because Cherry's out for 3 weeks. That's half of the remaining weeks. Apologies, my cat, Paddy. I don't know if you can see him there. He's trying to get out. So let me just let him out of my office. Oh, mate. I think I make too much noise because whenever I start recording, if he's here next to me, which he normally is, on his little co-pilot set, as I call it, he just scratches on the door and jumps off his chair. So I think I'm a little bit too loud for his little ears, little fuzzy ears. But where were we? Yeah. So I mean, I'll bring up my team and chat through the changes that I made, which you would have seen / heard in my team talk video, but I am kind of at a little bit of a, impasse here, I guess you could call it, because despite the fact that, as you can see there, I've traded Cherry to Gawn, I've got 2 trades up my sleeve. I do have the potential to make another trade this week and go down to 1 trade. However, I don't know if I should, considering, as I just mentioned there, the issues that I had this time of last year, despite the fact that I had some pretty decent depth on the bench, as I do now, I think, despite, the forward line, of course, but with the flex there, it does help. I'm thinking of taking a little bit of a risk, which I'll get into in a moment. But first and foremost, Matty in the chat, thanks for joining us, mate. Not too bad, considering all things, being a Carlton supporter, that's not the best to be one at the moment, as you'd probably expect. But hey, could be an Essendon supporter like Liam. We're probably in the same boat. And aside from that, I did welcome into the world my firstborn son, Felix, as of 6 weeks ago. But he is currently recovering in the NICU, which is the intensive care unit in hospital at the moment. So we are very, very keen to bring him home. But we are commuting in, the wife and I, every single day to go and see him, which is quite taxing. Physically, emotionally, everything else. But, SuperCoach is a nice little distraction from all that. And he is going well, which is good. And all things considered, we should be very, very grateful and thankful for that. So outside of that, SuperCoach, it's okay. It's going okay. I think I would probably prefer to have more than the 2 trades that I've got at the moment, which is kind of a funny thing to say considering that, as I just mentioned, I'm kind of in 2 minds as to whether or not I use another trade. And what I'm alluding to here is the fact that I've got Gorn, which I'm very happy with, and I think he's going to be a top 2 ruck on the run home. And I'm very, very keen on Grundy. Now, as you can see there in the bank that I have left, would you believe that I think I fell short by $600 in attempting to go Cherry to Grundy, which is so annoying. $600 I fell short. So virtually Grundy I'm keen on. We all know, and I spoke about it in the Supercoach episode this week. And it's just in terms of the fixture, the run home that Grundy has, it is incredible, absolutely incredible. Some of the best matchups I think you'd be wanting to have on the run home if you were a ruckman. So we'll go through that in a moment, but that's kind of my thinking, where my head's at. But as you can see here, so I've got 162.3k in the bank. Now, Brody Grundy is very, very expensive, as we know, 737.8k. And whilst I'm playing for rank, I'm also playing for leagues. Now, I am in some cash leagues, and if I was to bring in Grundy, he would be a definite pod. I think there's probably one of the main contending teams that own him in one of my main leagues. And it would definitely throw the cat amongst the pigeons and elevate my team even higher than what I think I'm in the top 4 at the moment in one of my main cash leagues. So with the 162.3k, the only players around about the price point that would afford me that jump up to Grundy would virtually be untouchables in the sense of Butters, Dacos, Bont, who's obviously played, Holmes, who in my eyes I think is untouchable considering the fact that he is highly owned, Baslenka, or a Luke Jackson. In fact, Baslenka would I think afford me just enough. But Luke Jackson's the other one as well. Everyone else, they're not at a high enough price point to trade to Grundy. And I could do it virtually with any player across any line because I do have those DPP swings, which is awfully annoying. And I don't really want to be shooting myself in the foot by getting rid of a primo in order to get an uber primo in. I think it's kind of a bit of a waste in that sense. But there are a couple of players here that do have risks. There is Sarong. I wish he was at a higher price point. But yeah, I just can't afford to do it in terms of the price point. I fall well short. 687. So Grundy's 737, I think, roughly. So the only prospect, I'm not trading Butters, I'm not trading Dacos, I'm not trading Bont. Now, Holmes is one of those players, yes. But again, and I know like he's dropped a fair chunk of coin. He's actually been pretty consistent across the board. He's run a home, I mean, a couple of nice games there. Actually, 3 nice games, North, Essendon, Richmond. Sydney probably get tagged by Jordan. Port, he busted out at 76, not the best. May have been tagged already as well. And then he will probably get tagged, either him or Baslenka, this weekend. So I probably don't want to get rid of Holmes either. And as I said, 43.9% is owned by a majority of my competitors in my main cash leagues. So I don't want to really shoot myself in the foot there and use him as a bit of an antipod. So I think Jackson's really the only player that I could use to, I guess, springboard to Grundy. Is it worth it? That's the question I pose to you. Is it worth it? Now, as we know, Jackson is obviously having to share the ruck with Shrek Darcy. However, if you have a look at his, well, first and foremost, have a look at his fixture. So Collingwood, not bad. West Coast, pretty good. Carlton, pretty decent. Brisbane, bit of a tough one. Bulldogs, if he's in the ruck, pretty good because English does concede points from memory. And Port come up against Jordan Sweet, who I think gives up a fair few points as well. However, of course, Jackson is, as I said, sharing the ruck with Shrek. But I do expect Shrek Darcy to be rested on the run home. They've got 6 games remaining. He's slated to play this weekend, of course, unless he's a late out, which I don't think he will be. So he's got 5 games, 3 of which are at home. So Shrek Darcy should play those. He's got and 2 away games, 1 in Adelaide and 1 at Marvel. Now, depending on where Freo sit, if they are guaranteed to make finals, I can almost guarantee that they do rest Shrek Darcy. But at what point in the season are they going to be guaranteed a final spot? I think they're still contending for a spot. Let me just go across to the ladder. So this is the level of thinking that I'm going down in terms of if I should keep Jackson or punt him to Grundy. So I'm after your help. That's virtually it. I'm after your help. And in turn as well, let us know in the chat what your moves have been. I assume you are an owner of Cherry or one of Cherry, potentially a Horn Francis. Do you have Rosie? Are you keeping him? I am. I think you should if you could. Only out for a week. But, I mean, Freo is currently 8th. There's a loggerhead here between 5th and 8th, all on 11 wins. And coming up behind them is probably the Western Bulldogs and maybe Sydney, maybe Port at a pinch. Everyone else out of contention, just on form, everything else. And I don't think they could unless they win every single one of the games that they have to rely upon other teams losing, I don't think they can. I know Carlton definitely can't, and they won't, and they shouldn't. So getting back to that point, I think they probably need to keep winning, Freo. And looking at their fixture, you would suspect that Shrek's going to play West Coast, Carlton, and they've got one more home game. So do they rest him against Port Adelaide, and do they rest him against the Bulldogs? Probably would rest him in round 24, which will be the Supercoach Grand Final, which would be very handy to have Luke Jackson for in a favourable matchup. But do we hold said player in Jackson on the potential that Shrek should and could be rested? Or alternatively gets injured, which probably is just as likely to happen as well. Jackson has been playing a fair bit of time up forward, but also, as we know, in recent weeks as well, been playing through the middle as that sort of extra, tall midfielder, and scoring quite well. I think he's kind of elevated his floor more than anything. So if we just have a look at CBAs here, we'll share this tab. And yeah, so Freo, where are we? So Luke Jackson, believe it or not, actually has the third most CBAs behind Sarong and Brayshaw. And in recent weeks, he's at 65, 46, 68, and not as a ruck. That was when he was rucking without Darcy. That's when he was sharing the ruck with Darcy, 57, 61. And those are the games where he was outright number one ruck. And they eased Darcy back into that game in his first game back. Now, they rested Darcy in the away game against the Dons, that famous game by Jackson against Vicentini. But whilst he's elevated his his floor, I should say, in not being the number one ruck. So it's these games here and that one as well. He has, by and large, been okay. Like 100, 116, 80, 84. That's for an average of 95. So at the moment, Jackson is rated, I think, the 4th best scoring forward. He's not going to be a number 1, number 2 ruck, that's for sure. But I've got him on the potential of potentially getting these big scores, as you can see here. The 186, the 163, 143, those games where he was the number 1 ruck and busted out massive scores. So it's waiting on that potential there, but it may never come. It may never come. So let me know what your thoughts are. Now, we have a few people in the chat, so I'll read out some of your comments and questions as well. But let me know, of course, what moves you're making. And inform me, if you're in my position, if you've come to me late, what I am virtually discussing here is the potential of going down to one trade and trading Jackson to Brodie Grundy. Is it worth it? Now, the one thing that gives me confidence is the fact that I do think Grundy's going to outscore Jackson. They'll probably be level pegging even if Jackson takes the number 1 ruck mantle from Darcy, if Darcy is rested or injured. And the other thing is, I think that, Grundy, his form will continue, you would think, given the matchups. Going down to one trade, I've got the flex, and I do have a fair bit of depth on the bench. I've got Zach Johnson, it's not ideal to play him. Scored a 22 last night. Clay Hall is someone that I am confident in as coverage. In 4 games, he scored 78, 61, and 85. And 88 as well. And 68 and 52. So a bit of a mixed bag, but does show that he does. If he can average a 70, I'd be very, very happy to have that as coverage. Angus Clark at a pinch isn't too bad. He's kind of had a couple of nice games here and there, 97, 71, 60 odd we'll take as well. So I don't mind that. And hopefully Campbell Gray gets a reprieve. Who knows if he actually does? Well, there you go. It's changed now, the prognosis for Gray. He's been ruled out, I think, until the finals. So is that for SuperCoach finals? Is that for actual finals? Let me just go to the injury list. So if he comes back, that at least gives me a little bit of coverage as well on the forward line. But I can flip back and forth with some DPPs for coverage as well. So again, not too concerned with that. Ideally, it would be good to have a genuine primo in the flex, but I think with the way that McCarthy is scoring, so I'm just trying to do 2 things at once here. Who am I looking for? Campbell. Okay, well, ruled out 6 to 8 weeks. Jesus, I thought he was returned to come back, like slated to come back, but okay, he's pretty much done for the season. The only other option for coverage is Cooper Simpson, who I think he's kind of out for a little while as well. And I don't think he'll break his way back into the team. You're around 20. As long as Freo keep winning, I don't think he's going to come back. But outside of that, regardless, we have DPPs across mid, forward, through the flex, defense mid, defense forward. So we have enough coverage there for those, 1 to 2 week injuries. But obviously, the trades at this point are for the long-term injuries and long-term suspensions. So do I make the move now? I kind of think I need to, because Jackson is slated to lose, even if he scores a 112, as you can see there. His break-even's 198. He could lose up to 40 grand, which would put him at around about 560, which would not be at a price point where we could then trade him to Grundy. Grundy, in all likelihood, probably goes up in price, and Jackson goes down. So I'm not going to be able to make this move again unless I burn my second trade on another week to fund my last trade of going whatever player up to Grundy. So that's my other move I guess I could make, is just to hold fort for the time being and wait. But in doing so, it probably pigeonholes myself, because I'll need to use that last trade to fund the trade to Grundy. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm thinking. I don't know what I'm going to do. Let me know your thoughts. But let's go through the chat. And of course, I will actually, if you are keen to jump on for a little bit of a chin wag, feel free. We might keep it open for about 15, 20 minutes. So if you are keen, I will whack the link in the chat. So if you are keen to jump on, it is, of course, open mic night. So hence, what I'm referring to there is, if you are keen to jump on, have a little bit of a yarn over Zoom, over the live, feel free to do so. So I have whacked that link down in the bottom there. Now, let me crack open an old Mountain Dew, which, speaking of Mountain Dew, any fans out there, now I know it's packed with sugar, but it's one of my guilty pleasures. They're actually discontinuing the Mountain Dew, I have heard. Now, I am devastated. I'm going to have to stockpile these or get them from, a retailer that retails, US or international drinks. It's a travesty. And I don't know if it's off the back of the amount of sugar in this, but I think the amount of sugar in this is probably equivalent to energy drinks. So they should be probably banning energy drinks as well. So I've gone off the rails here, but this is what it's all about. Sugar's 26.3%. Oh, sorry, 3 grams, I should say, which is 29% of your daily intake. Crazy, but it is nice. I love it. Let me have a swig, and let's go through some comments, questions. Matt, good day to you yet again. He said, I had Whitfield VC by accident and now taking his 104. Interesting. I don't know why. Just have a weird feeling. Interesting. Well, what other options do you have, Matt? I'm very keen to hear. Surely you've got the likes of, I would have thought that if you had a Bont because we spoke about it in the this week's SuperCoach Edge episode in I'm the Captain Now, of Whitfield potentially being a bit of a left field option for VC, which is what I did there, as you can see. Bont's one of those you can sort of lean back on. I think these primos like Butters, Bont, Dacos, even these are the guys that we can lean back on in these weeks where it's not a clear cut, cut and dry option of having standout VC and C options. So I think you could probably lean back on those. But let me know what other options you have, Matt. Surely there are others. Surely, especially with 104. I know it's only 16 points off the 120 sort of lock-in mark that I've got, which isn't much when you say it out loud. But I don't know. Let me know what are the options you have. Send us a link to your team. We might even go through it if you are keen, and we'll discuss. G'day, Daniels. I'm sorry, I didn't read the back end there, Matt. Glad to hear your son is doing well. A lot of good time. Thank you, mate. Really do appreciate it. And I appreciate all the kind words from the community as well. Like when we had him, it was we took a couple of weeks off, of course, from content creation and whatnot, and everyone sent in really incredible well wishes. Posted up. I think I put a tweet out with a photo of our little man and announcing his arrival. And part of the reason why we were taking a little bit of a break, Liam and I, for those couple of weeks there, and looking forward to it. Looking forward to bringing him home, and firstborn and stuff, and it's an incredible time, really. But it's a bit of a I don't know any different to parents out there that have had children before, and then have a kid that is premature in birth and has to stay in the intensive care unit. They would probably be a little bit different in the context that you've had the taste of normality of bringing your baby home once it's born. But to us, it's kind of our normal, which is probably a bit of a silver lining. But you'll be able to get strong, and he's getting stronger. He's growing. He's now grown over 3 kilos now. He was born at 1.7, and he's a strong man. He squeezes my finger and almost bursts it open. He's he's an absolute fighter and strong little man. So very, very proud of him, and he's doing very, very well. So can't wait to bring him home. And thank you again, Matt, for those kind words. Let's move on to Daniel. And he said, "G'day. I hope you get to bring your bub home soon." Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. Tactical. Haven't spoken to you this season because my team is trash. Where have you been, Tactical? Where have you been, Tic Tac? Which you should be. See, Tic Tac. I reckon that's a good nickname there. Just coin that. But team, I think everyone is going through issues, and I don't know about anyone else, and like you've mentioned there, that it's been a very, very strange season without there being too much chaos. I remember back to last year, as I spoke about earlier on, it was complete chaos. Like so many injuries, all within the space of, I reckon it was 2-3 weeks, and it really it virtually derailed my season. I think it would have been around 20 odd, and I had one trade up my sleeve that I refused to use. I had to hold Gorn, I think, for the 3 weeks that he was out because he had an ankle issue, and then Kerno was out, and he was battling with that ankle issue himself as well. Played through it, and was absolutely shizen. And then I think he was rested and whatever, didn't play the last 2 games, and I had to cop zeros. So that was a shit end to the season, and I've got that in mind as well about potentially not going down the route of going Jackson to Grundy. But in my other mind, I'm just kind of like, I've got bigger shit to deal with, like more important things in life. And SuperCoach, whilst it is a nice distraction, it's kind of like, let's just full send it. Like Liam, I spoke to him the other day on Messenger, who's currently in Japan with his wife, and he copped, unfortunately, the brunt of issues. He's had Cherry, he had Horn Francis, and Martin, and he's got no more trades left. So he has to gobble, I think, potentially one donut, and he might be able to navigate the other ones, but obviously has to hold Cherry for the 3 weeks that he's out, and has to cover Martin in some way, shape, or form for the rest of the season. So he was kind of the mindset that he's been very, very busy, hence the reason why he hasn't been able to come on in recent episodes. But it was part of the agreement that we had heading into this season that, we're both kind of being burnt out in 2024. And we both had the agreements that if things in life became, much more important, whether it be work, personal life, whatever, like just take the week off if need be. But he's been very, very busy and had his own stuff going on as well. So yeah, he is in Japan at the moment, and it was like, look, I just thought I'm just going to full send it and kind of take the worry about SuperCoach out of my own hands by doing that. So yeah, he's kind of like, what if I don't really give a shit type thing, which is good, and he'll still obviously has passion about SuperCoach and whatever, but it's kind of when your season is so far gone, which his is, unfortunately. I think he's ranked around about 30K. It's hard to come back from that, especially, the midpoint of the season, he was copping injuries, and, guys he would trade in would turn to shit. And yeah, it was like sliding doors moments where guys he didn't go for popped off, guys that he did go for that were kind of like a point of difference to try and make up ground, just, snowballed and didn't go his way. But anyway, all that to say, yeah, we're all dealing with the season, this 2025, in our own different ways. And it's so shit. And like cash cows, I've kind of been very lucky. Like I took a little bit of a risk going for the likes of Ryan Marich. I was going to go for Ned Long that week that he popped. I think it was the Anzac Day game. I was going to go for him, but I had obviously more important things in life. I was in hospital with my wife, and there's a whole story behind that, but I won't get into it. But it was obviously pregnancy related because it wasn't the most straightforward. So we had other worries to go and worry about, and I missed the deadline. I thought for some reason the game was kicking off later. I was going to need a Ned Long, didn't do it, and I missed out on one of the better cash cows. So I probably would have had more cash than what I do now, but I would have had one less trade, but probably would have worked out for the better because I would have been able to go for Cherry straight to Grundy. So sliding doors moments, things happen. Life's more important. SuperCoach is always a hobby. So yeah, if it's getting you down, don't stress. We're all kind of in the same boat. We're all running out of trades. We're all copping injuries. And that's the thing. I think it's probably a silver lining here that with the injuries that everyone's copped last round in Cherry, Horn Francis, Martin, and Rosie, they're all big or highly owned players. So it's not as if it's one of your pod players that they get injured. Like I think Martin was more of a pod, but at least everyone's in the same boat. There's nothing worse than having a pod player that gets injured and it just ruins your year. And the vast majority get away scot-free. So there's that. And in context as well, like I brought Rosie in, I traded him last week and he copped that injury for 53. And I was just like, fuck, of course. It just tends to happen. But let's move on with the question comments because we have Daniel in the green room. So thank you, mate. We'll patch you in very, very shortly. And I can see you there, mate. You look quite comfortable as well, which is good to see. A bit of a Hugh Hefner style, which everyone else will see what I'm talking about in a moment. But Dan, 75th overall, spoke to you in the Discord for some trade advice. Thank you for the help. I will be sending it with Grundy. Oh, it was you. Sorry, mate. If I haven't got back to your message today, obviously I've been at hospital visiting the young man. So I've been trying to find a bit of spare time here and there. But I will get back to your messages if I haven't. So apologies once again. But you've set up to fund it by going Rosie to Sicily, but I don't want to die wondering. Exactly right. And that's part of the reason why I'm thinking about just sending it full send, go for Grundy, because that's part of the enjoyment. Like what's the use in just, what's that saying about ship in the harbor or whatever it is? It's I don't know. It used to be in an ad. I think it was Combank or something. But yeah, like what use is it like having your ship in the harbor when you should be out sailing the high seas and having a bit of fun, taking risks, everything else. So I think I'm very, very similar. Funding it by going Rosa to Sicily, I don't mind because Sicily, I think, is kind of, since he's been back in the team for the one game or whatever, he's at a very good price point, 384 on the dot, obviously 148.9K below his starting price, but he, like 67 on return and then a 114. If you have a look, like hasn't been the best scorer, but I mean, if you can recapture the scores we know and love from Sicily, he could be a complete bargain. So I don't mind it, mate. I don't mind it. And like, he's not going to average as much as Rosie. We can say that probably with a little bit of confidence. Even if he does return to form, I think Rosie probably has that plum roll out of defense that will help. But I think with the extra points you're going to be getting from Grundy, it kind of offsets that anyway. And I think your net amount of points will be higher than what you would have, by going for or keeping Rosie and and maybe going for someone else. But again, it's part of the interest and fun of it. So I don't mind it, Dan. Don't mind it at all. Especially in your case, sorry, just 75th overall. Can't overlook that, because in your case there, you kind of have to take some risks to make up some ground. If we look at the players owned as well, for those who don't have SuperCoach Plus, get onto it. It is very, very helpful in this case here, because we can have a look at the ownership for Grundy for those ranked in the top 1%. And I assume this is up to date. Grundy is, sorry, it's probably easy just for me to go. Apologies, I do have a bit of a congested nose as well. So he's actually gone, I reckon his ownership has increased, it's doubled from what I saw before the round kicked off. So he's owned by 27.2%. However, let's just have a look at the ruck ownership here as well, from those in the top 1%. And if you compare it to discount board, obviously, Gawn, he's going to be the highest owned of those ranked top 1%. Tristan Cherry, I think that will probably drop, because I reckon there's quite a few people that still have Cherry and they're maybe waiting on what to do, like I am, with Gawn, whatever. There's Jackson, which is interesting. He's actually higher owned than Grundy. And Marshall is the next best. Probably discount to Conning. He's not going to be a top 2 scorer. Sharing the ruck with Pitnet, playing predominantly forward and being in shit form, and he's checked out because he's going to St Kilda. Tim English is an interesting one as well, because he, like Lloyd Meek, spoke about him in the this week's episode. He's got a very, not a tough, but he's got a tougher fixture on the run home, and he's got a massive deviation in his scoring, with his high highs being awesome, but his low scores are shit. So you don't really want guys of that caliber. For overall, you could probably get away with it, but leagues, but even so, go for someone else. And Darcy Cameron's interesting as well, because I actually rate him above Meek and probably on par with English. But yeah, interesting, 5.3%. But there you go. So if you want to make up ground, Brodie Grundy is, is your ticket to that, I think. And I'll chat to you in a moment, Daniel, because I think that you are the Daniel's pigeon sending your messages through. So we'll get you in a moment, and we'll just roll through quickly the other comments. Go from 4 trades to 2. Yep, all good. We'll get through that in a moment. Causa, Phil Dale and Dunkley should have scored more tonight, with Dale 9 clangers and Dunkley 8 clangers. Yeah, left some points in the shed there. Let's have a quick look as well, because I haven't had a decent look at the scores from tonight, because I didn't really have any skin in the game. I would have had I kept Neil, but punted him. And as a bit of a jaded previous owner of Neil, it warmed the cockles of my heart, and apologies to those who own Neil, to see him score an 85, because since punting Neil, he's turned up. He scored 120, 110, whatever it was, and I was expecting him to be tagged. He hasn't been tagged in games, and it's been very, very annoying for me, but regressed to what I thought he would score. But he would be the only player, I think, of interest. Dunkley 129, still a very good score. As you say, there, 60% disposal efficiency, 7 turnovers, clangers, whatever you want to call it. You could probably say the same thing as well for Bont. 75, which is a little bit lower than his disposal efficiency normally, and 6 clangers. So it could have been a massive score from Bont. And he was someone that I was very, very, very close to putting the C on straight up. But if I go for Grundy, the C will be going on him. So hence the reason why I didn't do it, because I'm still in 2 minds as to what move I do make, whether it be Gawn or Grundy. But good to see as well, Darcy finally having a half-decent score as well since bringing him in. And as you alluded to there as well, Bailey Dale, 72% disposal efficiency and 8 clangers or turnovers. Causa, is frustrating, Damo. You can get Clark on field. Oh, I can get Clark on the field, but I don't want to settle for that score of 61. For me, my pass score is around about 75 for guys off the bench. And I think Mills can easily pass that. All these guys probably will. They're all primo defenders. In an ideal world, they should. I mean, mind you, Mills scored a 55 last weekend, so maybe not. He's an issue, but it's every second week he scores well. So I think he's kind of on that odd week, and he's playing North Melbourne. Yeah, he's on that off week now where he's Big score, low score, big score, low score. Should be a big score, hopefully. If not, I wish I had another trade to throw him in the bin, but he's not really worth too much money anyway to do it. Can't get Clark on field. Yeah, I actually could. I could, mate, because I could do this swing, for example. I could go Rosie into defence and put Sheasel in the midfield, and that would put on Clark's score. But I think Clay Hall's actually going to score a little bit better. I'm willing to take the risk with the flex, especially as well. So I am going to be doing that. But if you are in my position and you have a DPP swing, you can definitely do that. That'll get his score on field. G'day, Josh. Just got back from the game. Causa, Dale 50 against Kilty scoring 2. VC Hewitt versus D's into Dawson. Don't mind that, mate. Don't mind that at all. Lucky and VC Green. I wish I owned Green. Wish I did, because he's been scoring pretty well since, the midway point of the year when he finally got his shit together. G'day, Fuzzy. Thanks for joining us. Is there anything to the Mills out rumours? I need to decide between him and DeWar on field before the Port match. I don't think there is. I saw someone mention it in the content creators group that I'm in, but I don't know. Daniel, you might be. Are you a Swans man? You are, because you're wearing I think that's a Swans gown you've got on there. I think I might have spotted the emblem. So yeah, we'll patch you in a moment, and we'll get you to. Actually, you know what? Let's bring you in right now. Let's do it. So everyone, welcome, of course, to the stage. The mic is yours. It is Daniel's Pigeons. Welcome, mate. How are you?
G'day, Damo. Thanks for bringing me on, mate.
My pleasure, mate. I'll just pop on my headphones as well, because there might be a little bit of feedback if I don't do it. But feel free. I don't know if whilst you're talking, if it creates feedback. I don't know if you can hear it. Does it echo when you talk to me?
Not at the moment. No, can't hear that.
Good. That's good then. I'll pop these on in the meantime anyway, just to make sure that no one else's ears are being infiltrated. But go ahead, mate. In terms of your, let's just address this firstly. Mills, is he going to be out?
I heard a few things in a few Swans supporter groups that I'm in, but there's been absolutely nothing sort of confirmed as to what that might be. So I think at this point it's just best to assume that he is playing, and if he's not, then it is what it is, and everyone will be blindsided by it. But like, none of us really are any wiser. So
yeah, exactly. And it's a fair point as well. Like, I think his ownership is high enough anyway that that's what, maybe a quarter like the of the competition will be affected in some way, shape, or form. And I reckon a lot of people would have been shopping for him as that value player. So people have him. As long as you do have someone on the bench, like I do with Angus Clark, to come on, then I think you should be fine. But in your case, Fuzzy, if you are trading out Mills in order to avoid a zero, I probably wouldn't do that at this stage of the year for 1 week. We don't know what it could be that's going to keep him out, if anything. But just hopefully in your case there, you do have some bench cover. But yeah, deciding between him and DeWar on field, because I think, is he a DPP? Is that what he's referring to there? Is he? Yes, he's a forward mid. Well, I think you're just going to have to take the risk, mate, and choose between either or. Who you think is going to score better between both guys? How do you reckon he's going to go this week? I mean, obviously facing North Melbourne, you'd think he should be scoring well.
Think so. I mean, I'd back in all the Swans players to sort of bounce back. Like, I think Chad Warner's one who's, we've been saying as Swans fan, like, he is absolutely due to rip the skin off one of these games, and it just hasn't quite happened for him, probably since the Carlton game earlier in the year. But he's sort of like, he's showing a few signs, like he's just going. He's not really ripped a game apart. So guys like him, I think Callum Mills should gull it up back there, and obviously Brodie Grundy, the obvious one. Yeah, I'd back him in.
And just on Grundy as well. So obviously you, and we'll chat about your conundrum and the move that you're going to make, which I endorse fully, because 75th overall, an incredible season. Like, here we are talking about how shit the season's been, but for you, a very, very good season to date. And just with Grundy, obviously being a Swans man, probably a great time to have you on, because as I spoke about, I'm in the conundrum of potentially maybe just sending it and trading Jackson to Grundy. I have heard talking about other rumors. Now, this is another rumor that probably you can't put too much merit to because in game, you don't know how things are going to unfold. But I have heard the rumor, and I think it's been spoken about on the Swans forum on Big Footy, which again, rumors on Big Footy, how much merit can you really place on it? But there is a discussion point that has been brought up about potentially if the Swans are up by a decent margin against North on the weekend, that they may think about potentially resting Grundy because I think Laddams is in the team. Is that correct?
I have seen those rumors. Personally, I mean, it's hard to sort of predict these things, but the way I look at it is, as a Swans fan, Joel Amati is the guy who's sort of been providing that consistent aerial presence in the forward line while he's been on the park. But while he's missing, we don't really have that. And the next best is Hayden McLean. And when Hayden McLean's backup ruck, it kind of ruins that a bit. So I think Laddams is in there more as taking McLean's ruck minutes so that he can stay forward of the ball a bit more. I had a look at DFS as well. And I think Laddams was in between round 10 and round 12. And in that time, it was pretty much an 80-20 split between Grundy and him, which is basically the same as McLean, and Grundy was still scoring pretty well at that time. In terms of us being up by a decent margin, I mean, that's something that could happen. Like I'm not gonna make any big claims that like it's just absolutely not gonna happen. But at the end of the day, like he's one of our best players. I think I would feel comfortable just backing him in, and even if he does sort of get rested, I'd probably back him in to have gone at least 130 by that point.
Well, he tends to like score pretty well. Like it's not just a single quarter that he goes well in, is it? It's like from the get-go, he normally scores quite well. So yeah, you kind of have that confidence anyway that if he is subbed out by that point, fingers crossed he has, hit the, illustrious 120 mark. I mean, it doesn't set the benchmark of what we're hoping for, obviously, with a full game, but you'd take it knowing, obviously, you've got him for the rest of the season for those big matchups as well that he's going to absolutely gobble up, you would think. So you would take it. So, I mean, risk of a reward, I think the reward is probably bigger than the risk, isn't it?
100%. I think so. And I think at this point of the year, it's I think we just want to get the best available players. And for my situation, I mean, and I know there's a few others in the comments sort of saying similar things, but for my situation, I had barely any money. So when I'm looking at trading Sherry, the best option in terms of price is Darcy Cameron. And then there's you can throw a blanket over 6 rucks that you could sort of pick from. And I think there's certain cons to all of those that I don't think someone like Grundy has. And so I just thought, yeah, using those 2 trades is probably worth it. Just getting a guy who you know what you're going to get from him. He's got such an insane run of fixtures on the run home. And I think what's probably in his favor is that, look, I mean, you've probably got to be a bit realistic about the Swans finals chances, but while there's still like a mathematical chance, they'll still be trying everything they can to just get the wins on the board, and I think win well as well. I think percentage percentage is going to be really hard to make up, but all those sorts of things come into play, and I think you want your best players fit and firing. All engines go, and Brodie Grundy's obviously one of them. So yeah, I'm obviously trading Rosie to Sicily to fund that, and Sicily's scores have been pretty ghastly at times this year, so definitely could be a risk. But I think going from 4 to 2 trades, I think that should be the combination should hopefully do all right in the long run, but could easily blow up.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And that's the risk we take. And that's I mean, at your point as well, you might as well take a risk because with his massive ceiling, it's unmatched by anyone. Like Gawn, maybe. I mean, his run home is actually pretty good as well. Not as good as Grundy, but I don't think anyone can match him for the ceiling scores that he can have, and they can really pop off and create, again, that point of difference that you need to climb those ranks. So you got nothing to lose. If it doesn't work out, who cares? I mean, you've tried, and it could pay off, and it creates a bit more fun, I think, when you have these big scoring players in your team. It just creates that extra interest, and especially for you as being a Swans man, watching games, it's just that enjoyment factor would be taken to the next level. Is that right?
It's just that extra thing, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna like that. Would have been awesome owning Brodie Grundy these last 10 weeks, but no one could have predicted that sort of run. But yeah, as you said, I think that quote from the ad, I believe it's a ship in the harbor is safe, but that's not what ships are built for.
Exactly. That's the one. That's the one I was looking for. Thank you.
I think that's the one. So
yeah,
I'm gonna run with that and send it, and hopefully it goes all right.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, fingers crossed. I think I'll be joining you. Really, I'm kind of at the point now where, especially in the cash leagues, I just went through before, and in terms of the teams that own Grundy, I think there's maybe 3 teams in the league, and 2 of which are kind of contending. One of which is in first spot overall at the moment. I think I'm in 4th spot, but that's the point of difference. That if I was to face this guy in the grand final, there is no chance. I would hate to face them, especially knowing that they could put the outright captaincy or VC on him in West Coast. That would be up against Flynn. Oh, would Grundy be in like Flynn? Jesus, that would be insane. Obviously conceding the most points to rucks. And just going back through, we're chatting about, as you can see there on screen, the matchups that he has had, but the matchups to come, you'll see there. So obviously North, as we spoke about this weekend, and the other ones are the Giants. So the Giants, they concede the 3rd most points to rucks over the course of the season. Essendon, well, as we know, I mean, if Goldstein plays, he's probably not even fit anyway to cover the ground. He's been giving up a fair bulk of points, but Vicentini as well. They concede the Dons, the 3rd most points to rucks in the past 5 games, but I think that would probably increase considering the amount of injuries that Essendon have as well. They will be tumbling down the board. And then Geelong, who concede the 6th most points to rucks at the moment, and they don't even know who's rucking for them half the time. Is it Stanley? Is it Blitzarves? It's an ongoing issue they've had for years on end and probably will continue. So it could be an easy matchup for him depending on who is rucking for the Cats at that stage. And then, of course, West Coast, who, as I said, concede the most points to ruck. So I think it'd be silly, almost negligent, I think, in our case, not to go for Grundy.
I think so, yeah. I think it's sort of that thing where, I mean, if you've got 4 or 5 trades in the bank and you can use 2 of them to get Grundy, it's probably one where if you don't chance your arm, you'll die wondering. Yep, so
exactly.
Yeah, and I just feel, like you're not like I want to, like, at the end of the day, this is something that we're all doing for the fun of it, right? And I want to enjoy the season. Like, I'm not like, obviously he's very overpriced, but at this point it doesn't matter. It's just you're getting the best available, and hopefully it doesn't sort of bite on the backside. That's the risk we take. Live by the sword, die by the sword. So yeah.
Exactly. Do it for the fun of it, and hopefully it pays off. If it doesn't, who cares? It's just a game at the end of the day. And in your case, it might catapult you up the board. Do you know, we'll jump into Nick's question here. She's a bit of a supporter of ours, of course, on the channel here, but on the Discord does some incredible stuff, and great for the morale, banter, everything else. So we'll jump into your question in a moment, Nick, because I'm conscious you've said there that you need to get up this morning. I was going to say in the morning. It currently is the morning. So just with sorry, I've lost my train of thought. With regards to, sorry, what was I mentioning? Sorry, my brain is all over the shop. What were you chatting about? So Gawn, just send it. I mean, you've got to really send it. That's the notion. Have a bit of fun. Everything else, but just with Nicole's question here, and let us know your thoughts as well, Dan. But she said it has 4 trades left, only 21 primos plus McCarthy. So she's got kind of similar to my team, but 1 less primo. Has Cherry, Rosie, and Horn Francis to deal with. Will hold Rosie obviously only out for the 1 week. Not sure what to do with Cherry. For Horn Francis, trading to Curtin or Thilthorpe. or something else? Interesting.
That is interesting. I mean, I think Bailey Humphrey would be one that springs to mind immediately. I mean, Took Miller getting injured. I'm not sure. Maybe Nicole has him already, but Bailey Humphrey's one I think is around the same price. Not without having really looked at it. You'd think with Took Miller getting injured, maybe a few more CBAs for him. I think he's probably the one I'd look towards if I was in that situation for Horde Francis. As for Sherry, I mean, that would come down to bank balance, I guess.
Yeah, and you're totally right. Have a look at Humphrey there. So he scored pretty well, and he has, like early in the season, as we know, to start the year, people thought he was going to take the next step, and I just didn't trust him. And he burned a lot of people last year as well after a little while. But I think, as you can see here, it just comes down to role for Humphrey. 131, 93, 88, and 86. And I think his CBAs were in the 80 odd from memory on the weekend off the back of the running man Took Miller being out. So I think that'll continue. And with that role should come or continue those nice scores there, sort of 80 odd. So really like him as an option. I did float on the podcast as well this week on the episode. It was Sam Flanders, but a little bit of a worry there. I don't think he's going to have the assured role that Bailey Humphrey has had. However, he does have the scoring history behind him. If he gets CBAs, we know what he's able to score as he did last year, but a little bit of a risk there, I think, just with regards to role. And you'd need to almost wait a week to get a little bit of a sample size. Whereas with Bailey Humphrey, we saw on the weekend when Took went out, Bailey Humphrey's CBAs were dialed up as well, which is always a good thing. And you can kind of lean back on that. But Curtin's been in some really good form. I don't know if that's sustainable. Just given he's a youngster, I mean, more than anything, Phil Thorpe I really like, actually. He's one player that Pistol Pete, our father-in-law, Liam and I, he was able to get his hands on Phil Thorpe and has been scoring quite well. So, he actually got onto him. When was it? Actually, there's a couple of down games there, but he got onto him literally the week where he popped off his first big score, round 9. I don't know why he went for him, but I think he was dropping price and he was like, well, I'll go for him. Had a couple of nice scores early in the season. Popped off with those nice scores, 113, 103, 126, 98. 129 against Richmond, probably, no surprise there. But 149 on the weekend just gone against the Dogs. Faces Gold Coast. So not the hardest, not the easiest. So he's got West Coast and North. So you'd think he probably should make like a bloody dinner against those. But Pies should be a tough matchup. Hawthorn, maybe. Gold Coast and Port could go either way. But Phil Thorpe, he's that sort of player where he has a very, very nice ceiling. So don't mind him. I probably would prefer him over Curtin, who we'll just have a quick look at. Because I am conscious, you've said there, Nick, that you have a plane to catch in 5 hours. So don't want to let you miss your flight. But he's only really had these 2 big scores here. Against Richmond, no surprise. And against the Bulldogs, who Phil Thorpe scored well against as well. So maybe they were very vulnerable to talls. So outside of that, I wouldn't be putting all my hopes on a youngster in Curtin who's still trying to establish his consistency at senior level. So, I think your option there that you've floated in Humphrey B. Bear, don't mind him, or Phil Thorpe, I think in my eyes there. I don't know if there's any players else around about that price point we could look at. I'm sure there is, but it's kind of slim pickings when you get down to sort of around about that price point. Just trying to have a look in, where is it? My run sheet for the episode. I don't think there was any guys that I touched on that were that cheap. No, 489 was Whitfield. I think he was the lowest. 483 Sinclair, but no one else lower than that. Flanders I floated, so he was one. But again, just a bit of a query about his role. And that's about it. So, probably slim pickings there. Maybe those two to have a look at for you, Nick. But thank you, as always, for jumping on, considering that you do have to get up to catch a plane in 5 hours. So get some shut-eye in, and hopefully you're refreshed enough for that flight. And maybe go back when you have a little bit of time at the airport and catch this stream and our answer to your question, Nick. But thank you, as always, for your support. There's
always place for some late-night musings, even with things to do in the morning. Hey,
Exactly right. You'll be surprised as well. Like when I do a late night record and then I do a premiere of the episode, and people in the morning, there are quite a few people that actually tune into the premiere, and a few people in the morning that get onto it. So you can always get up and tuck straight into that. Sorry, Sharon, another a fellow lady. She said, my craziest trade this week, Cherry and Rosie out, Grundy and Sicily in. There you go.
there
Another
you go.
combo like yours. One trade left. Go Blues. Go Blues. I don't know if we can go anywhere really. I mean, go Voss, we could probably say. Out the door. We'll wait and see with that. But I don't think the Bags are winning another game. Oh, actually, no, sorry. We face Essendon in the last round. So it's funny. I was going to say if we lose to Essendon in the last round, Voss will get the sack, but he's getting the sack anyway because it's the last round of the season. So who knows? But hopefully we can get just one more win, and then if we finish in bottom four, we might get a 5 or 6 draft pick if we get with TDK when he goes to St Kilda. Who knows? That might be a win. That might be a win in itself.
They
Corey,
would have snackled this game in the calendar, I reckon. This particular game this week. This one.
Oh, against what's that, Melbourne?
Yeah, I reckon so.
Oh, you reckon? Oh, wait and see. I've tipped Melbourne. I'm not confident against any of the teams apart from Essendon because the pure fact they've pretty much got cardboard cutouts filling in for half of their team because they've got so many injuries. But wait and see. Maybe they might get up and about. But I'm not overly confident. I've kind of checked out for Carlton at the moment, just for my own mental health sake. I think it's just pure frustration.
Fair
but at least the Swans are going well. The Swans have come back. They've turned things around.
It's taken a lot of, I guess, patience. And like, I think early on, like the expectations were starting to get a bit more managed. So like, I mean, going into the season, we were all sort of thinking, look, we've been pumped in a grand final before. We've made our way back. Like we can do it again. But, Dean Cox, new coach, injury issues. It was always going to be a bit of a rocky start. And to be honest, there were some games where we felt like earlier in the year, they probably got away from us. Like the Brisbane game, we were playing really well for 3 quarters, but just couldn't hold them off. Then there was the Port game early on and the Essendon game. Both of those games, honestly, we played pretty poorly, but in the end, we had so many shots on goal in the last quarter and probably should have pinched both of those. And then obviously the Bulldogs game recently where we kicked ourselves out of it. So, so you look at that and that's the difference sometimes. And so I think we still sort of have the faith that we can play well. Like we've seen that we can still play well, even in the games where things aren't always going our way. Little bounces of the ball, accurate kicking, and possibly a bit of a different story. But I think the main thing is from this second half of the year, like we're not entirely expecting to like push for the finals. It's going to be a long shot, but we can sort of take confidence in the fact that we're starting to see the game plan with Dean Cox and the contested possessions. The work in the contest has significantly improved from the last 3-4 years under Longmire. And so we're starting to see the game plan come to fruition. And we're just sort of, I think, I can't speak for all Swans fans, but I'm sort of looking at that as like, okay, this is the blueprint. This is how we can build for 2026 and beyond. And so, it has been a pretty enjoyable year, all things considered, despite the disappointment early on.
Yep. You've summarized it quite well. Like there were a number of games there that you probably should have won. Other games that were misses that probably you were penciling in as a win. But you've performed like pretty well. It's very much a Jekyll and Hyde team. You perform well against Brisbane. You've fallen short. So it's not what was probably looking like it was going to be a disastrous year early-ish on. I think it's actually turned out to be, a bit of a season of learnings and everything under a new coach. It's a different system, different game style and everything else, very different to what, the players would have had ingrained into them, across the journey, having such, a long, a coach that's been there for a fair while. So I think the Swans are doing well enough. And I think it always would have taken a dent, I think, in the and the confidence stakes, making the big dance and falling short a couple of times as well. But just shows that you've got the quality of the list, and you're not too far away. Just a couple of key players that you've signed up as well, Warner, and you've obviously got Grundy coming good at the right time as well. So good to see, and you'll be thereabouts again, I think, heading into next year, and you can't write yourselves off. So you're well placed. Well, and having said all that as well, mate, you speak very, very well. So I do recommend, like myself, I've started my little side project, my Blue Baggers Edge YouTube channel. You should consider doing this. I don't know if you've done it, but you should do it for the Swans, because you speak very well about the Swans, and you're very well spoken. You turn a good word.
Really appreciate it, Damo. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm not really, I guess, about the content in that sort of sphere. I just love footy. I just love footy, and I love SuperCoach, and that's absolutely froth it. So I guess it's easy to speak passionately about those sorts of things when it's, as you said, like about SuperCoach, like it's always such a great escape, like when things are really busy in life, and it's good to sort of turn away from that for a little bit and just sort of focus on the fun things at times.
Yeah, when your life's busy and your AFL team is performing like shit, like Carlton, it's a great escape.
Mate.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much for jumping on, man. Really do appreciate all your support that you do give us, and in the Discord as well. Now I can put a username to the name. So I wasn't, and apologies, I don't think I've replied back to your final message. So consider that you being on here. But of course, feel free to continue the dialogue in Discord and whatnot as well. So thanks again for the support, and all the very best for the rest of the season, mate. Hopefully we see you right up there. And good old Broads, he helps us in each of our own ways to either win cash leagues in my case here, or for you to be potentially on the podium. That'd be something. Do you know, just before you go as well, do you know how many points you are off sort of top 100 or top 10 or?
So I'm at 75th. I'm about, at last check, I think it was like 380 something away from top 10.
Oh wow!
And I think top 100 is a bit further, like more like 800. So the gap between like 1 and 10 is pretty crazy.
Yeah,
yeah, it's about the same as the gap from 10 to me. So I'm not like, I was never thinking top, like I'd win out, but I think I'm at the point where, well, maybe top 10 is a shot, and that's sort of something I could try and push for and see how far I can go, taking a risk or two.
Exactly. That's where Grundy's going to be all important as well. Being a captain, someone to have that massive ceiling as a captaincy choice is just going to really set you apart. And that's someone you need as sort of the ace up your sleeve to give you that point of difference on the next level. So it's always a good thing to have a player that's going to score well, but to have someone that you can have as a pod and a captaincy pod, geez, that's going to help a fair bit. And it might seem like a fair margin, like what was it, 800 points that you said, but you'll be able to make up a fair chunk of that, you would think, especially on those people that don't own Grundy. There will be those with that margin who own Grundy, and you probably won't be able to make up that chunk outside of the differences in players that you have across their teams and yours. But I think you just might as well hit and hope and see what happens. Bit of a Hail Mary, and hopefully it pays off for you, mate.
Absolutely. Absolute pleasure to be on. Thank you so much for having me. And I'll make sure to interact in the Discord, and
let us know how you go and keep us posted.
Absolutely. You take care, your wife and the bub, and hopefully
mate.
That's all good in good time.
Yep. Thank you so much, mate. Really appreciate the kind words and jumping on as well. All the very best.
Cheers, Demo. Up the Brody.
Up Broads.
Let's go.
Well, thank you again, Dan, for jumping on. Really appreciate just chatting to nice people in the community. He is one of our good supporters which reminds me, if you haven't joined our Discord, let me just whack the link in the description. It's virtually, for those not familiar with the Discord, it's like a big footy. It's like a forum. It's like Twitter. So it's like a chat that just stays there. You post messages. There's different rooms. You can jump in, have a chat. There's general discussion. There's trade advice. There's captaincy and VC discussions, injury discussion points. We even have a little hidden section as well for those in our SuperCoach Edge cash leagues as well. So they will be open up again for next season and beyond. So we always have spots opening up for those. We do have 2 of those cash leagues with $1,000 as the major prize. So if you are keen, all the more reason to jump in and, just express your early interest, because I will note it down and hit you up if there are any openings, which there always is a couple. So let me grab that link. And having said all that, with Dan, what I was alluding to is the fact that you get great people like Dan in the Discord, and he is someone that's much like the rest of our SuperCoach Edge community on there, always willing to help. Now, I am unable to be on there, a bulk of the time at the moment, considering I do have other more important things outside of SuperCoach. Early season, I definitely would have been able to help, but time permitting, I definitely will help. But by and large, I can just step back into the shadows, really, because the community help in itself is something to be marveled at, and something that I think Liam and I are really, really proud of, generating. And it's all through the help of all of you jumping in there and not causing a ruckus, not causing shit, not having fights. There's banter, of course, but not pushing things too far as well. So let me grab the link. Here it is here. And Dan, you are a pillar of the great part of our community. So thank you once again, mate. And that is the link I've just posted in the chat there. So click on that. Free to join. All you need to do is just use your email. Don't worry, we're not going to use your data. We're not going to spam your shit. It's just literally to sign up as a Discord, because you need to sign up with an email, I think. Do you? Maybe. I don't know. I can't remember, because I signed up to Discord ages ago. But jump into that. There it is there. Whacked it up on screen. So go to the chat, click on that link, copy, paste it in your URL in your browser, and join up and be a part of the SuperCoach Edge community. Because what we're doing now with a live chat virtually is the Discord, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you can chat about all things SuperCoach to your heart's content. Let's continue on with the comments and questions here. Where were we? So, Causa, Dale 50 against killed his scoring as well. What did Dale end up scoring? 109. Actually, more than what I thought. He was an early season own for me, and I punted him because he was being shifted around, and his scoring output annoyed me with his differential or variance, I guess you call it. And he came good, and now he's kind of been switched around by Bevo and stuff as well in recent times. So a bit of an annoying own. I will contest to that. Yep, we went through that. Where were we? We were at, that's right, Corey. So you said, feel like missing Connor O'Sullivan, Hall, Murphy, Reed were key misses for me. Well, if you just reminded me, I actually traded in early season Connor O'Sullivan as a bit of a cash cow. He had gone up by around about 60K or thereabouts. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to jump on him because he's going to make another 100K. He ended up doing that and was a good trade in for me. And that was a key learning that I had from 2024, where I jumped on guys, despite the fact that cash cows that had already gone up a fair chunk. I did it with Sharp from Frio, I think it was last year. And he actually ended up making a fair chunk of coin, about 100K, even though he had made, to that point, 60, 70K. So that was the key learning from 2024 that I took into this year, and it helped me, as I mentioned there, with Connor O'Sullivan. Hall, I think a lot of people jumped off him because of the way that he was being used by McQualter. He was subbed, everything else, and that just really halted his cash generation. Thankfully, given that full game, punched out a nice score, did a couple consecutively, and has started to make a fair bit of coin. Mind you, he's at the point of the season now where I don't have enough trades to trade him out and make the most of his cash. But I'm just happy that I do have a bit of coverage off the bench, because we do need it this time of year. And you can't be trading out all of your cash cows, because otherwise you'll have no cover. And Murphy Reed, I think a lot of people were taken by surprise with him. He was a pod cash cow, I think, compared to the the more usual in Levi Ashcroft and the like. But yeah, he would have been a very nice get, that is for sure. Corey, you've said it's like Took Miller getting injured as a pod. Yeah, as I was speaking about earlier. And he was a bit of a pod for me last year when he got injured. And that was the first nail in my coffin. That just did me over. Gorn got injured, had to hold him. I was clutching onto my last trade and then had to use it when Rankin was out. Held onto him when he was out suspended, and it just unravels from there. Sorry, Nick, forgot to address this second part of your question. Or hold Jason Horne-Francis this week, as I do have cover and do 2 trades to upgrade to Grundy, which will mean I have 1 trade left to trade. Apologies, Nick. Apologies that Dan and I didn't address this because we didn't see this second part of your question. I actually don't mind this. You'll be going down the same route as me by going down to 1 trade but having Grundy. And I don't mind it, provided you do have ample bench cover across the board, because going down to 1 trade with 5 rounds remaining, or 5 and a bit, because this round's still obviously ongoing, it is a risk. It is a definite risk. But hey, if you want to jump on the train and have a bit of fun, go down that route. And I think that avenue there with Grundy will get you more points by, instead of, because you said that you weren't sure what to do with Cherry, which, apologies, we didn't answer that part of your question either. You could go Cherry to Gawn and then go Horne-Francis to Curtin or Thilthorpe. But I think going Grundy, because you're going to have to use that last trade on Horne-Francis. Depends who your cover is for Horne-Francis, in all honesty. But you're going to have to use that trade anyway. So maybe the other avenue, maybe. It's up to you. Whatever way you want to go, Nick. If you go for you're going for leagues, probably hold the trades. If you're going for overall, just send it. Maybe just send it. Causa, Phil Hall against Tigers is better off. Yeah, exactly. And that's the other thing I'll factor in as well. G'day, Velo, once again, mate. Good to have you joining us, a fellow bagger. G'day, Jack. Yet again, how are you, mate? I'm seriously staying clear of any players that get tagged next year or that are above 30. Neil, Sarong, Merritt, I won't pick. Richards was a bit disappointing tonight, but he's been my pod. I think Richards, just first and foremost, has been pretty good considering he has been a pod. Always hurts you more considering he's a pod when he does have those down games, but would have definitely helped you across those weeks where, the likes of Neil, I'm thinking of other primos, when Dawson was going quite ordinary early on and Richards was popping off. That is the point of difference that you want and the differential, in those players there. You're avoiding the highly owned players that are going shit, but you've got this pod in Richards who's scoring quite well. So I think your net gain would probably be a positive as opposed to being a negative by having Richards, I think, as an owner. So you take the good with the bad, and I think he's delivered a lot more good than he has bad. Neil, and your point about it as well, about tags, totally echo that sentiment. I've had Sarong all season, and I was choosing between him and Brayshaw ended 2024 in a blaze of glory. And I thought off the back of that he would have got more tags compared to Sarong, and it just hasn't happened. Sarong still keeps getting tagged, despite the fact that he isn't even impactful in some games. And then the next game, I think, okay, well, Brayshaw had a breakout the previous week. Surely he gets the tag. Nope, it goes to Sarong. So I am 100% on board with that. One of my key learnings this year as well, we're always learning. I've been playing SuperCoach since late high school, back in 2005. So been doing it for over 20 years and makes me feel ancient having said that. But Merritt, I think, probably the fact that he's just a lone soldier for Essendon and cops tags and attention more often than not. And Neil, he's at that point now where he's going to start regressing. He's still copying tags, and you're probably better off going for, McCluggage. As we know, he's popped off this year, even Dunkley. So I totally agree with that sentiment as well, and will be firmly part of my strategy. So all the very best for the rest of the season, Jack, and great to see you joining us yet again, mate. Always welcome around these parts. Corey, as you mentioned there when we were chatting about Laddams, as Dan made that same point, we'll be playing key forward with Francis. All the very best with your sleeping, Nick. Jack thought Darcy had a good game tonight. If he kicked 2 more goals, that's a 110 plus. Last week he kicked 4 goals. And that's the thing, like 4 goals in the context of, the game. If it's a dead rubber and he's kicking late goals, they're kind of nothing points. But in a game like tonight, when the margin was pretty close throughout, 100%, that would have been scaling points to the moon. So it's just a bit of a shame because I thought Darcy would have been owned more than what he actually is, but maybe not. Again, all the very best with your flight, Nick. Corey, I'm just going Martin to Noble this way. I don't mind Noble. He's a nice little pod. Ross, are the rumors regarding Mills being laid out credible? Anyone? We chatted about that earlier, Ross, Dan and I. So just dial back. I think you might have asked that. Was it you that asked the question earlier about Mills? Or was it someone else? I don't know. I'm going delirious, mate. But if it wasn't you, dial back around about half an hour ago when I was chatting to from the get-go with Dan, who's a big Swans man. But virtually, what he was saying is that he has seen those rumors and he can't put 100% certainty that it's going to happen. But if he's a late out, I mean, he's owned by a quarter of the competition. And as long as you have a bit of coverage, like Angus Clark, in my case, I think you will be okay. But if not, we've got the flex. As long as you've got a flex, you'll be fine. Corey, I'm going for my league now. Won't make top 1K anymore. I feel without Bont and Butters. Yeah, probably fair, mate. So locked into first, most likely going to hold Cherry to go to one trade left. So if you trade out Cherry, you're saying you're going down to 0 trades, so you're kind of forced to hold him anyway? Makes sense, though, mate. Do that. I think play the long game when it comes to leagues, and you'll be better off. That's 100%. The certainty always is. Shaz, anything is a bonus now. Apparently, I don't know what that was a reference to. Steve-O, g'day, mates. Steve-O, Hevo. No doubt you are a Dockers fan. If not, then just a nice play on words. Having six trades oh, sorry. Should have read on. It's been a godsend. Clark to rookie and Sherry. Oh, no, sorry. You do have 6 trades. Holy shit. I thought you were making a gag. Wow. Okay, well, mate, you're in a very nice position. Bring it on indeed, mate. I'd love to be in your position to do that because that would have been the move that I made. Zach Johnson or a Clark down to a rookie and Cherry straight to Grundy. I do agree. Sideways, Primo's killed most teams. You have to hold those precious trades. Yeah, exactly right. And I must admit, the only sideways that I've done has been Neil to Darcy, which in retrospect probably could have held, but I was expecting Neil to cop more tags as he has in the past, but that hasn't come for some reason. And Darcy was facing Richmond, who popped off for a nice score. And I was thinking he was going to score well enough for the remaining games, but it really has kind of been a bit of a, could we say it's a break even with Neil? Maybe if Neil continues sub-hundreding. But aside from that, I haven't been making really any sideways trades, which I'm pretty happy with. And hence the reason why I've got a fair bit of money in the bank, which is always a good thing. Max Hall, you're talking about. I don't know what was that was a reference to. Sorry, mate. Went hasty instead. G'day, Kate. How are you? Another fellow lady. We had a few ladies in the chat, so thank you for joining us. Evening, is there a Lockie Neal owner support group? I would have been part of that if I didn't trade him 3 odd weeks ago. But he's an annoying own, and hence the reason why I traded him out. But all the very best to you, Kate. He's owned by a fair chunk, I think, from memory. So you're not alone there, at least. Velo, I'm sitting at 688 at the moment from 7 players. Dowder will get 2,300 this week. Went Hewitt VC into Holmes C. Now, Holmes is a little bit of a scary one because he could get tagged by Winhager, or does Winhager go to Baslenka? Don't know. But Hewitt, I think, should pop off a nice score, you would think, against the Ds. So I don't mind that as a fellow bagger, Velo. Jack, any players you're wanting to select next year, but a bit biased as a line supporter, but as soon as Zorko retires, I'm picking Jasper Fletcher. Now, that's a very good call. Such a gun, and he's fit into that backline role so well. Really like that call, mate. Outside of that, Jagger Smith, obviously, he's going to be a revelation. Hopefully he just stays fit and that knee is tip-top and as strong as ever. Is there anyone else that comes to mind? I mean, as we said, I'm kind of thinking about the tactics to bring into my repertoire that avoid any risks. So just risk mitigation, as you mentioned, avoiding those tagged players. Normally I don't select older players, and part of the reason why I didn't want to select Neil, but I brought him into my team off the back of who was the injury early on? Can't recall who it was heading into round 1. Everyone jumped. Oh no, it was the change in fixture. That's right. Brisbane didn't have that the early buy, whatever it was. So you could go for Lachie Neale. Otherwise, I'd punted Neale, brought Holmes into my team, and then I ended up bringing Neale back into my team, which was a stupid thing to do. But I really do like him. You'd love to see Kitty Coleman get a fair crack if he gets fit. But yeah, I don't know, mate. I'll have to have a look. I'm firmly still in 2025 mode before I even think about 2026. But there will no doubt be some underpriced value options to jump on, as there always is. Corey, missed rookie. Sorry. Yeah, Hasty. So Max Hall, you missed. Went for Hasty instead. Yeah, I went for Hasty as well. Didn't pay off. In fact, sorry, Boxall I went for, not Hasty. But Boxall's getting games now, and I probably don't need him to. But hey, again, we'll take any cover that we can get off the bench. So it could be worse. We won't snub our noses at that. And Causey, you said I want us to start Sam Banks, been great this year, or even Colby again. Now, the other option as well that I didn't mention that I am considering is keeping Luke Jackson and trading Sarong down to McKercher and going Cherry to Grundy and waiting on Gawn. So I don't know if that's worthwhile. I'm worried about Sarong and his tag games. Keeps Jackson on the off chance that Shrek Darcy gets injured / rested. But I think I probably prefer having Gawn and Grundy in my repertoire because I'll be down to the same number of trades. I'll have one trade left, but I'd have McKercher in my team and Grundy instead of Gawn and Grundy. So I think I'll probably go for Gawn and Grundy, in all honesty. But yes, Sam Banks is revelation for the Tigs. Velo, 2 players I want to start next year. Jagger not included are Cameron and Goulden. Goulden, yeah, I don't mind him. I actually had, I was considering him in my starting team. And then obviously when he got injured, I was like, okay, well, can't do that. But he was in consideration. As for Cameron, which Cameron are you talking about there, Velo? As in Darcy Cameron, I assume? Interesting as well. Chris and I posed to you out there. Now, TDK will be going to St Kilda. There's no qualms about that. Will you be starting him or will you consider starting him if he's at a low price point? Now, I think he probably won't get the discount that he's currently priced at. He's priced at 468, probably will drop lower than that. Might even bottom out to around about 420 come the end of the season because I can't see his scores picking up playing forward for Carlton. But if he's priced at around about 500k as a ruck option, 550 maybe, let's be reasonable, would you be tempted to go for TDK with the promise that he's the number 1 ruck at St Kilda and Marshall is no longer there? So if Marshall requests a trade, he gets traded to Geelong, Carlton, whoever it is, doesn't matter. But if TDK has a number 1 mantle at St Kilda, would you consider him? And Velo, this is without Romo in the team. So TDK outright ruck at St Kilda for 550k. I was going to say 500, but that's too cheap. 550. Would you take him? Or would you bypass him and pay extra for the likes of a Cherry, Gawn even though he's another year older? Obviously Grundy popping off. There you go, Velo. Still a no. Yep, I'm 100% the same. I just worry for TDK as a person. The fact that because the down game he's having at the moment for Carlton. Now, he's probably checked out, whatever. He may be injured. I mean, he copped a larynx knock or whatever it was early in the season, but he's out of form, whatever. If he gets out of form at St Kilda and he's getting paid, 1.3 million a year, whatever it was, that's ridiculous. He's not going to handle the heat well. And the heat's going to come. And it's going to come hard from the media because of the fact that he's purely the highest paid player in the game. And not rightfully so. Good luck to the bloke. He's going to earn a pay packet beyond what he's actually worth. He probably knows it himself as well. But yeah, I just worry for him. I worry for him, really. That's one thing. If I was in his shoes, I'd be thinking about, like, you'd love the money. But the minute that you lose form, whatever, or if you're injured for a fair while, you're still going to cop heat. It's a shit part of the media. It's a shit part of the sport. but the heat comes. If you're getting paid a shit ton, the heat will come. So hopefully it doesn't happen to him, because even though he's leaving, I mean, I say good luck to him, really, because it's going to benefit Carlton anyway, getting a top, probably likely top 5-6 pick. Yeah, it's best of luck. Best of luck. But Darcy Cameron, I don't mind. I spoke about him in this week's episode of SuperCoach Edge, and it was due to the fact that there's a really nice option. And I'll read out what I've written here in my run sheet. So he's been one of the more consistent rucks. He's had tons in 9 of his last 11 games, most recently, obviously. And whilst his ceiling isn't massive, or he's only had 4 scores above 120, of the 12 tons that he has posted, he scored 110 plus in 10 of those. So he's got a really, really, really nice consistency in his game. So when he's, posting tons, he's still posting 110 plus. He's not just hobbling over the 100 mark like Sarong is. And he's got a very, very high floor. He's only had 5 sub tons across the season. So I really like Darcy Cameron. He'll be a pod, definitely, as well. Velo, Cherry Gorn, Cameron Witts, Grundy, English, and even Roma are in front of TDK for me. Can't deny him going with the 1.7 million offered. That's a huge offer. Yep. I totally agree, mate. Totally agree. Which is why, good luck to him. He's a young bloke. He's got the world at his feet. And who knows? We all know I always think back to when Kuda was playing and Kuda was getting paid a shit ton of money from Carlton, probably under the table as well, knowing Carlton. And I can make these gags because I'm a fellow Bagger supporter. But he went down, injured his knee, and wasn't the same after that. Was getting paid big bucks. And they kind of, I reckon, pushed him to play. And even he rolled out, I remember it clearly, with almost a mattress wrapped around his knee to give him that structural stability. It was crazy. And whilst he kind of had forged a career to that point and didn't really cop any heat as such, that kind of, his career trajectory just pretty much halted after that. Now, if, TDK was to go down with a knee injury, I know, the medical field and science is much better nowadays than what it was back when Kuda did his knee. I just think that, he hasn't established himself as an out-and-out star as such, TDK. He's had one good season last year, really. This year, been pretty good, petered out a fair bit, maybe a third of the way through the season. And he's getting paid that money off the back of one season of promise. And he's not that good of a ruckman, to be honest. And I've spoken about it in context of my other channel, Blue Baggers Edge, because as a ruckman, a pure hit-outs ruckman perspective, he doesn't win too much. His hit-outs to advantage really aren't there. And if you're comparing him and Pitnet like for like, Pitnet wipes the floor with him in terms of ruck craft. He's a much more effective ruckman. TDK, mind you, around the ground, very, very good. Wipes the floor with Pitnet because he's one of those new age mobile ruckmen. But TDK, apart from that, at the stoppages, obviously, when he doesn't get the hit out, his strength, his bread and butter, his one wood is below his knees work, contested play as that extra midfielder, and his tackling work. Outside of that, that's that. He's not a traditional ruckman. So if St Kilda are willing to pay him that amount of money for being virtually an extra player at the stoppage, good luck. Good luck. But I don't think I'll be choosing him in SuperCoach, that's for sure. But I'll probably be going with Cherry and maybe a Cameron. I don't mind that. English, I'm a little bit weary about because he kind of burnt us after his big season. Hasn't recaptured that form since. Witts will probably be retiring that next year, all likelihood. Has dropped off. And Grundy's probably going to be way too expensive. So almost a value player and Cherry or a Gorn, decam. Do you go for Cherry and Gorn? Maybe. Steve, you said you're going to go for TDK to decam during. Apparently I heard TDK 1.8 is the million offer now. Whoa. Sorry, 1.8 million is the offer now. Why would they up it? Why would they up it from what they've seen, if anything? If I was negotiating with TDK, I would be lowering that offer. If St Kilda are smart, I mean, it shows he's got more dollars than cents. But geez, TDK, you jump at that, mate. The fact that he hasn't signed it yet, Wow, the dollary dues just keep piling in. Like his manager must just be like, oh, he's undecided. Maybe he might stay at Carlton, and just driving up the old dollar signs on the contract. TDK to D Cam, great move for me during the buys, super consistent. Oh, sorry, that was a message that you had pressed enter on prematurely, I imagine. Very, very good move by you, Stevo. Like that. Velo, really, Corey? He isn't worth any. Nah, nowhere near. He's not even worth $1 million a year. I'm sorry. He's probably on what now? 700K, 600 at a pinch if we were talking about minimum. He's probably worth about 850, I would say. When we're talking about form, where's that gone? where's that gone? You're not just going to sign the bloke up in $1 million a year on potential. They said last night on Triple M. There you go. Velo, issue I see with TDK is the big body rucks bully him. And that's the other thing. He's not, as I was speaking about, a traditional ruckman, big enough to contest with the likes of a Cherry, a Briggs, a Nank. Yep, great jumper. Yep, aerobically, aerially, he's awesome. And around the ground, I think he's pretty good. But yeah, Dogger, I reckon, is the better version of TDK. In all honesty, like Freo should be shipping out Shrek Darcy and allowing Dogger to play, because as a ruckman, his hit outs to advantage, Dogger, incredible. He's way up there. TDK is. We analysed him in the preseason. I'll have to try and find. I think it was in the ruck episode, and I was chatting about the bulk of points that TDK gets and where he gets them from. They're all from his around the ground work. It's nothing in the ruck in terms of the ruck work that he does. It's stuff in the contest, stuff at stoppages. In the ruck, I think he's rated, I think it was the 20th. It was in the 20th percentile or thereabouts of players in a ruck sense that where they get their points from hitouts. It's crazy. Excuse me. Velo, I would say 900K max. Yep. If you want to put a little bit of sprinkling on top, 900K, yeah, is probably sensible. There was a game against Port a few weeks ago, had only one hit out. Yeah, and exactly right. I spoke about it in the preseason, as I said. I speak about it on Blue Baggers Edge, where, again, I speak about a whole host of stats, and, that kind of forms a basis for a majority of what I chat about in terms of previews for matchups, and, of course, reviews of games for Carlton. And that's what I don't understand. Like, you delve into these stats, and you see, like, it's available to everyone. But surely the analytics team at St Kilda see these stats and they're like, okay, well, Ross Lyon, are you willing to concede hit-outs to the opposition at the expense of maybe having TDK, being there as that extra midfielder? Like, eventually having that, that player that can contest the ball and do some work around the ground, because he's not really a forward either. Like, you can probably see he's out of form at the moment, granted, but in the games where he's been played forward for Carlton, he really hasn't been able to have consistency in his game. It's not his one wood, but yeah, I just don't understand it. I just do not understand it. It's so negligent, and 100%. It's a jaded Stephen Silvani. He's pulling the strings here against his old mob in Carlton, and he's trying to get it done. Steve-O, of course, for FN. Yep. Good play on words with the name anyway, mate. Corey, TDK wouldn't have been a SuperCoach pick if Pitnet didn't get injured. Yeah, well, Pitnet was out of form anyway. I think at that point Carlton, from what I can understand, were trying to pitch to TDK that he was going to be the number one ruck to try and get him to stay, but also the fact that he's not a forward. And they're playing him as a forward now because Harry's out of the team. They've only got Charlie there. And, they know he's out the door. So, get some runners to the legs of Pitnet, who could be the number one ruck for Carlton next year. And they've got O'Keefe as well. They're younger ruckman. So TDK, out the door. Velo, he has the potential, but you don't pay 1.8 million for potential. Yeah, exactly right. You pay that sort of money for guaranteed talent and form, of which he hasn't shown beyond that one season. As a fellow bagger, would you trade any of our higher paid players in Mackay, Walsh, or Charlie? Nope. I don't buy into this narrative, and I've spoken about it, and you would have seen it, Velo, on Blue Baggers Edge, But I haven't addressed it really on that channel. I will at length come the end of the season. But it's a narrative that's been driven by and large, the media, and they're trying to, create discussion and be, I guess, really edgy in a sense. And I think that they all, in my eyes, like if you're trading out a player or you're dangling out a player on the trade market, you always have to think of the player when they're at full flight and in top form. And would you trade that player out of your team when they are, full flight? Mackay, no, you wouldn't. He's won a Coleman. Walshy, no, you wouldn't. I mean, he was awarded the best finals player in 2023, and for good reason. Now, part of Walsh as well, he's had injury issues. The big thing, which a lot of people will realize and what I've been banging on about, when we get a new coach to replace Voss and knows how to properly play Walsh, we're going to see a different player here. Now, Walsh, when he won that award in the 2023 finals series as the best finals player, he was played as an outside player. That is his bread and butter. Played almost as a wingman. Now, he would be at stoppages, he'd spread wide and have the time and space to use the footy. When he has that, he is a different beast. He's an incredible disposer of the footy. Now, when he's a contested player, when he's played at the coalface, and when he's made to dispose of the footy under pressure, he wilts. That's one of his deficiencies in his game, and a lot of people attack him for that. Fair enough, but that's a part of his game that isn't his strongest. Yet Voss continues to play him in that role. Outside of that, we obviously know with injury issues, and if we were to dangle him in the open market, someone would pay unders, he'd get his body right, and we would 100% be spoken about as a laughing stock for having to get rid of him. Charlie, likewise as well, he's been battling with injury. He had ankle issue last year. We persisted with it. We played him through that injury. This year, he's out of form. Heck, 23 players that take the park most weeks for Carlton are out of form. So I don't really see him as an issue. I know he hasn't been in form, hasn't kicked a goal for the past 3-4 weeks. It doesn't matter. He's the sort of mercurial forward that is the type of player that most teams would jump at the potential to have. We're not going to be trading him on the open market for unders. There is no way. Of those three, if I was to trade one, if we needed to trade one, which we don't, it would be Harry. And mainly because he's not that point of difference. Charlie's a point of difference. Harry, not so much. He is the more stereotypical forward. He's the bustling, big lumbering forward. Great mark. One of the best marks at Carlton. And, on his day can be a really good kick. But as we know, a deficiency in his game with his kicking. And you don't win a Coleman if you don't have talent behind you. And confidence comes with that. Harry is a very, very big confidence player. Having said all that, if we needed to make ground, if we needed to free up salary cap, which we don't need to with TDK leaving and guys retiring, it's just going to be selling again another quality player for unders. Unless we get something massive in return, I will not be trading, and I will not be an advocate to trade Harry, Walshy, or Charlie. So this narrative that the media is driving really shit me with it, and it's so dumb. We're going to be getting a first-round draft pick off the back of TDK leaving. So why would we try and trade out one of our key pillars going forward? They're not old by any form of the word. They're not like Cripper. These guys can still form the nucleus of Carlton's team to try and push for a flag, which is funny to say, but it really is. So, yeah, in a nutshell, no. And Valley, you've said, finally, someone agrees with me. We need to get rid of the dead weight first. And there's so many guys beneath the top quality that we need to clear out. You go from the bottom up. You don't go from the top down. Otherwise, you just really, what's the phrase there? I'm not really good with phrases tonight, but, what's that? Cutting off your nose to spite your face. Really, you're doing you're going about things the wrong way. You're throwing the baby out with the bathwater, whatever phrase you want to use. And people that say, like, we need to trade out like this big name player, they're getting paid big money and they're not performing. Well, half the team's not performing. Cripper's not performing most weeks. He's the captain. So anyway, I don't want to derail this into Blue Bagger's Edge. So I won't continue at length with chatting about Carlton, because I imagine you just prefer to laugh at Carlton if you're an opposition fan, which is fair enough, and we deserve it. Daniel, Oh, you're still around, Dan. Been a really enjoyable stream, Damo. Have to get to bed, but thanks for getting me on. I really enjoyed the conversation. I always love your insights. Talk later. Well, thank you, Dan. You are, as I said, you speak really well, mate. So I know you're not a content creator, but I haven't seen too many Sydney Swans, YouTube channels out there. So, mate, the way you speak, you can turn a really nice word. Very knowledgeable about the game itself, but also the Swans. You're as passionate about your team as I am about Carlton. So, you should consider it, mate. I'd very much help you set up your channel if you wanted to do that. Nice little hobby. It was always a bit of fun for myself with Blue Baggers Edge, as it is here with SuperCoach. But yeah, thanks for jumping on, mate. Really do appreciate it, and I appreciate your kind words as well, mate. Enjoy your sleep, and we will be wrapping up things in around about 5 minutes as well, because we might head off to bed as well, because it's been a very, very long day, and have to get up tomorrow, of course, to be heading on in to see our little lad yet again in the intensive care unit. Walk the Earth Dead, how are you, mates? Good to have you on. Getting excited for Cody Walker and Harry Dean joining the Blues next year. Love your content, mate. Thank you. Really do appreciate your support, mate. And I think I've seen you around, was it these parts or the Blue Baggers Edge channel, mate? Because you are a fellow bagger. But, mate, I'm so stoked. I mean, we talked about wins in terms of 4 points. The only win I am worried about and have been worried about is having Cody Walker nominate Carlton as his preferred club of choice. It was always going to happen. Andy Walker was one of my favourite players during the dark years, and there've been quite a few dark years for Carlton, and this year is one of those. But I refer to like the early 2000s, and post the draft concessions. Oh, sorry, the draft. What was it? The massive fine and the stripping of draft picks. We lost out on Goddard and Wells, and there wasn't really much going for us. And we were still able to keep pick 2 for that draft. I think it was 2003 or 2004. Picked Andy Walker, and he was one of my favorite players. I used to love watching him play. And on Big Footy, actually, which I still frequent in the SuperCoach forums, my username is Walker the Star. And I've had that username for over 20 years. Incredible. So, yeah, it goes to show he was one of my favorites. So I'm very, very keen to see his son donning the navy blue, and likewise Harry Dean. Peter Dean was a little bit before my time. I was a youngster. I was too young to remember that. I think I would have been around about 5. Actually, it would have been in the 95 flag. So I would have been 7 when he was around about at his peak. But good to see his son coming through as well. And he's going to be slated as a top, first round draft pick. So to get him is going to help us massively as well. But we might chat about that over on Blue Baggers Edge as well, mate. So jump across there. And no doubt we'll be chatting about him and both of those boys in the off-season. Velo, just quickly to round things out, I think Harry, is our pod, as he's a great, and that's a very good point as well. I forgot about that. Chops us out nicely in the ruck. And again, I talk about and again, I'm sorry, I'm going about Carlton again, but really, there's actually quite a few people of the bagger variety in the chat. So I might continue on. If you want to chat about Carlton, if you are keen for me to continue on, let me know. But with regards to Harry, he, I think, is someone that is purely underrated. And I don't think he's played in the correct manner. Now, I've spoken about on Blue Baggers Edge. Now, we'll get the link up. For those people, those fellow baggers in the chat, I'll whack at the link, because you'll be able to jump on there, give us a sub, everything else, and you'll be able to see when we go live. Where are we? I'll just grab the link if it lets me. What I want to say about where is it? Here it is. What I want to say about Harry is the fact that I think he's played incorrectly. I mean, Walshy's played incorrectly, Charlie's played incorrectly, and Harry, both of these blokes, Charlie and Harry especially, are played incorrectly. Charlie's played as a full forward, stay-at-home forward, who doesn't have any forward leading patterns, which, again, forward coaching issues up the wazoo, really. Now, Voss has this fascination with using Harry as the high half forward. I would switch that around. I know Harry has a really good mark about him, but switch it around. Have Charlie pushing up the ground. He's still a good marker in his own right, because the way that we're bombing the ball into forward 50 is kind of, it goes to Harry's one wood. He's great overhead. He's got the strength about him, big body. Compared to Charlie, he's a leading forward. And when we're bombing onto the head of Charlie, more often than not, he's not marking him. And, Charlie's got the speed to rush up onto the wing, spread back, which is kind of the game plan that Voss stupidly wants to persist with, and the players don't have the fitness to do it, where he pushes the forwards up, literally deep into defense to force a turnover and then expects them to run back. Just doesn't work. But I think, Harry's been played incorrectly, and I reckon there's a whole host of players. Saad's another one. We're not using him to his full capacity from an attacking standpoint, breaking lines. He's spread. He's run through the middle, attacking the corridor, all that sort of stuff. We don't do. It's just ridiculous stuff. I just wish we had a coach as fellow baggers that knows how to get the best out of their players, which I don't think Voss can. Cody not joining us until the 2026 draft. That's right. We have to wait a year for him, but we get Harry Dean this coming draft at least. Deadly, thanks for joining us, mate. Must have had the old Blue Baggers Edge symbol in the sky tonight, because we've got quite a few baggers here. Because I think you are one of those. Because this is Jonas Goat, if I'm not mistaken, changing his username yet again. What are you doing, Jonas? Are you trying to throw people off, or is this your burner? You've said with TDK leaving Mackay, he's one of the only players who can take marks around the ground. No way he gets moved. Media bullshit. 100%, mate. Hey, Damo, no way we're beating Melbourne. Yep. Margin will depend on how the Demons kick in front of goal. That's the variance. Totally agree. I spoke about that. If you haven't seen it, go and check out my Blue Baggers Edge live that I did. And I spoke about that very issue. We don't match up with them. Voss again brings in Frankie Evans for the 6th time to prove to himself that he's not a dud. He's not a dud, mate. He's another Nick Graham. He can play well at VFL. He cannot play at senior level. Voss, the most stubborn prick in football at the moment, and I hate it. Annoys the shit out of me. And the fact that he wants to persist with bulk small forwards and pressure forwards. We've got like 6 small forwards. 6 against Melbourne. Good luck, fellas. We're not winning that game. 100%. Not winning that game. Walk the Earth. That's where I saw you, mate. Yes, 100% on my channel. So thanks as well for your support on there. Into SuperCoach team is around 13K. So well done, mate. You're thereabouts. I think you're very similar to myself. I'm just inside the top 10K. So hopefully we can continue on climbing the ranks. That'd be very nice. Went to 1995. Granny, 15 years old. So you are, what's that? So 8 years older than me, mate. If I've done the math correctly, because I was 7 in 95. And I wasn't quite old enough to really understand. I wasn't going to the footy at that stage. Didn't have a membership. My grandfather I started going to the footy with when I hit high school. So yeah, when I was around about 12 is when I started to go with my good mate, fellow bagger, Clint, who I don't know if I've had him. I've had him in the live chat because he's posted over in abroad in Thailand for his work. But yeah, we might do a bit of a fun stream, as you've alluded to there, Velo. We might go live after the game tomorrow night. So if you boys want to jump on, feel free to do so. Yeah, around about 11:30, I think. We will go into that, and I might do a little bit of a quiz. Now, there is a website that I think Terry from Blue Abroad, of course, you might be familiar with. Of course, no doubt you will be familiar with. He does some incredible work. He has used a quiz website where people have compiled quizzes about Carlton lists, teams that have faced matches and whatnot. We might try and dig that up and have a little bit of a play around and chat about the baggers of old, memories of the early 2000s, because we're sort of touching on that in the preview episode to the Melbourne game towards the back end of that stream. If you want to check it out, we're chatting about Cody Walker nominating Carlton, and we're chatting about Walker playing back in 2004 and the playing list that we had then. Geez, the names on that: Digby Morrell, we had Glenn Bowyer, Barnaby French. We had quite a host of players there from yesteryear that my mate who I was chatting about just before, we still chat about the old players, the Ricky Motts, who else is there? Darren Hume, Pup, I used to love. Adrian Hickmott. Those were the days. McGovern looks dangerous in the forward line when he doesn't hesitate, even snaps good left foot goals. Totally useless in the back line. He's very similar to Kemp in that sense there. I think they have the propensity to make mistakes. And when you're making mistakes in a position that can really, really hurt you in defense, because you can obviously concede goals on turnover, I think they're too much of a risk to play in defense. And both of those boys there, McGovern and Kemp, they're much better spent forward. Agreed there. This is a wild time to stream SuperCoach, but I love it. This is for the SuperCoach. It is indeed, mate. We're actually going on to a little bit of a chat about Carlton at the moment, but I said I was going to wrap up the stream around about 6 minutes ago, but we've gone overtime, so we might wrap things up in a moment, mate. But yeah, we're just chatting about my conundrum that I had, which was, and let me know just quickly as well before we might end the chat about Carlton now, because we'll reserve that for tomorrow's stream over on Blue Baggers Edge. Again, go and check it out. That is the link there. I have put in the chat. Click on the link, join up or subscribe to be notified of when we go live, which will be post-game tomorrow if you are a fellow bagger, or if you want to just jump on and have a little bit of yarn. If you are an opposition supporter as well, you are more than welcome. But this is what I was kind of doing the stream for. A little bit selfish, but also wanted to get everyone on for a bit of a yarn on here for the open mic. We've only had one person jump on. So if anyone wants to jump on for a bit of a chat, we might put a little bit of timer for 5 minutes. If everyone wants to jump on, feel free to do so. But you've referenced it there. 14 hours till my new recruit, Grundy, is playing. So excited. Got him in Sinclair in for Horn, Francis and Cherry, mate. Incredible trades. Incredible trades. Well done to you, good sir. And referencing what my conundrum was. Now, I am in two minds because I've obviously gone Cherry to Gawn. I'm down to two trades, but I'm so keen to get Grundy into my team. My only avenue is via Jackson. Now, Jackson, he's lifted his scoring floor because he's playing in the midfield and up forward, obviously sharing the ruck with Shrek. I think Shrek will get rested on the two interstate games that they have, or at least one of those. But do I keep Jackson knowing that he probably averages around about 90 odd for the rest of the season? Maybe 100. But for the rest of the games they've got 1, 2, 3 home games. So you would say that Shrek Darcy plays all three of those. So obviously has to share the ruck. Sharing the ruck this weekend against Collingwood. And then he has 2 more away games against Port and the Bulldogs. I think Shrek might be rested maybe for round 24, which is the SuperCoach Grand Final. Do I keep Jackson on the off chance that Shrek gets rested / injured and obviously can score through the roof, as we know? Or do I go down to one trade and trade Jackson to Grundy? Let's just see what it looks like. Let's just, for the sake of the argument. It'll leave me with 27.4K in the bank. One trade. Look at that ruck setup. Grundy and Gawn, the old Gaundy combo of old. And the C would go on him. Do I do it? Do I do it? The other option, unfortunately, I can't, footy. I can't go Cherry to Grundy in one trade. I fall short by $600. $600. The cruel SuperCoach gods. Why do they smite me? I don't know. But I'd need to do 2 trades regardless in order to try and get Grundy in. I could bypass Gawn and go a Sarong down to a McKercher and then have the money to go Cherry to Grundy. But again, I'm down to one trade. And in that case, I'd have McKercher and Grundy. I think it's probably worthwhile going for Gawn and Grundy, personally. But do I do it? One trade remaining, 5 rounds to go. I've got ample coverage, especially in the middle. Clay Hall scoring quite well enough, using him as my cover for Rosie this week. Zach Johnson, there's Boxall, who I don't really want to use as cover, but he's there. I've got Angus Clark as cover in defense as well for the Dons. Will continue to play for the rest of the season. Up forward is a bit of an issue in terms of coverage, but we do have, as you can see there, Chad Warner in the middle can shift to the forward line, hence through McCarthy, if need be. And I can play Clay Hall, Zach Johnson or Boxall or even Angus Clark, because I can switch a defender into the middle. I can switch a defender into flex. I have quite a bit of movement here. So the only DPP swings I don't have are rucks to forwards, rucks to whatever. But I can make any other move. So I virtually have cover across the board. And you've mentioned it there. You've quantified it perfectly. Footy refined. If Grundy goes 150 and Jackson goes 105, 110, it's a 40-point difference around. Very tempting. Will be good for SuperCoach finals. You're talking me into it. And that's the thing. I'm thinking about it purely from I like to, obviously climb the ranks for overall. But for me, I'm in quite a few cash leagues, and I've looked at my opponents in one of my main cash leagues, who's currently top, and he owns Grundy. Now, if I was to face him in the grand final with Grundy facing West Coast, mind you, in round 24, he could double ton, and then as a captain score, he's scoring 400. There's no way you're winning against said opponent. So I'm talking myself into it, because if I don't go for Grundy now, Jackson's really my only avenue. Jackson, in all likelihood, will probably, even if he scores 120, will drop around about 35, 40K. And he won't be high enough a price point for me to put that money I've got in my bank on his head to then bring Grundy in. Grundy, the only saving grace, if I don't go for Grundy, in hoping that he drops in cash, is if he doesn't score well on the weekend, or maybe he scores about a 120, 130 and gets subbed out. But knock on wood, that doesn't happen. But that's the only thing to factor in. But I'm just like, you know what? Send it. Liam's used up all of his trades. I'm still enjoying SuperCoach. I still am. But, there's obviously other things in my life that are more important at the moment, goes without saying, referencing my young son. But just enjoyment factor, I reckon it probably elevates it as well. Having Grundy there, having a big scorer like him, gee whiz, it'd really excite things. If I was going down to 0 trades, there's no way I'd do it. But down to 1 trade? Down to 1 trade. It's like a break glass in case of emergency trade. Now, Velo, you mentioned here as well, and we covered it, Dan and I, so you might have missed. Go back to maybe the 45-minute mark of the stream, and you will have seen Dan's Pigeons. He was on the stream, and he's a Swans man. And I posed that question about McLean and Laddams. Now, his answer was the fact that Laddams has been in the team to provide a little bit of a chop out in the ruck, but more so as a relief to allow McLean to play forward, and predominantly forward. And you've said there that Grundy might get rested more, especially against CCJ and Teakle. You've also got to factor in that Sydney have to win to continue winning in order to make finals. So I don't think they have the luxury to rest players per se. And they also need to make up percentage as well. So they need to win and win well to make up a bit of a difference in percentage to close the gap on those ahead of them in the current 8. So I'm not too phased about it. And the fact also is that Grundy, by and large, is a pretty consistent scorer across the board. He's been able to score consistently from the get-go. He's not the sort of player that just, piles on scores in any given quarter. So he could realistically, if he gets subbed out, say in the third quarter, if it were to happen, he could be already on 120 plus, which he'd take, knowing that you've got him for the rest of the season anyway, for some nice matchups. So, I wouldn't necessarily be getting him into my team for this 1 week play. I'd be getting him in, obviously, for the rest of the season. So you ride the bumps. If it happens, it happens. If not, we're just backing his quality. But, it's not out of the realms of possibility, I think. Footy Refined, if you have Butters Walk the Earth Dead, yes, you're a bit crazy. Walk the Earth, sorry. Apologies, I missed your message. I have Dylan Moore and got the VC on him. Well, who do you have, mate? Who do you have as your other options? Max Holmes, a little bit worried about because of Winhager, because he could realistically go for Baslenka, but could also go for for Maxi Holmes. And I don't think Matty actually replied, because he said the craziest thing. He said put the VC on Whitfield by accident, but he's going to lock in the 104, and he doesn't know why. Just has a weird feeling. And I asked him who his other options were, but he didn't say who. So I don't know what the thinking was behind that. But there you go. That's someone else. And exactly right, footy. Exactly right. Sorry, Valley, you said the Swans not making finals. They still think they're a chance. So they're going to be playing as such, in my eyes. I missed any messages here, so just going back through. Sorry, Deadly. What'd you say? Saving for finals. Shit, you scored well. You scored well, Jonas. Normal accounts. Voss dogging with like 6 small forwards standing around the car watching. 100%. 100%. Voss is there just. I said in the team selection committee, he'd be walking into the room with his pants around his ankles, knowing that he's able to select Frankie Evans in the senior team. Cracky. Valley, you said Michael Sexton, your favourite player of all time, so underrated. He was a very good player. Footy, you said Don's fan, both clubs are a bit washed, mate. They are in an absolute shambles. The round 24 game, fuck me, that could be an absolute sellout. Just for the commoner, I reckon, to come in and laugh at both teams. Just a shit game. Going to be a terrible one. Where are we? Just catching up. I think Jackson will average 105 playing a lot as a mid, so I do not think I would do that. But if you can go Grundy instead of Gawn, I'd do that. Yeah, we spoke about that. Deadly, okay, Jonas. Chances are another high-priced midfielder will go in for an early surgery when the team is out of finals contention. Yeah, but have a look at who, though. Who would it be? Could it be a Connor Rosie? Do Port even make finals still? Probably not. I can't think of anyone. Or anyone. I'm just looking at my team anyway. Who could fit that bill? But yeah, it's always a prospect, Jonas. If GWS don't choke again, they will beat Sydney and win the flag. They're my tip, mate. They're still my tip. Last year, I tipped Brisbane from the get-go, and when they made their way back into the grand final, I was like, I told you, I never gave up. They were the best team in the comp. With the Giants, they're very Jekyll and Hyde. They when they get things together, they look so good, don't they? Had Dunkley, Ashcroft, and McCluggage got Rowell, who I captained last week, and Max Gawn, no ultra primos. Yeah, okay. Makes sense. Could you go the VC on someone else instead of Dylan Moore? I just don't know why Dylan Moore. I mean, he's a definite pod. That's a reason. But against Port Adelaide, could you go Rowell? I don't know. Yep, that's all that matters. Gawn could go huge against Pitto, potentially. He scored okay in the past. Pitto traditionally, though, is pretty difficult ruckman to score against from memory, compared to TDK, who gives up bulk points. Moore seems good in Tasmania. Yep, gotcha. With scoring, I'm not sold on Holmes, but beautiful day on Sunday. Swans play GWS, Brisbane, and Cats. It's very tough for them to win them all. Just my thoughts. Yeah, they are very, very tough games. But the Swans, they pushed Brisbane when they played them. They've played some good teams and fallen short. Should have won games. They haven't. But yeah, if you've got Gawn, walk the earth, 100%. He would be my option personally. If you can pull those strings. Adelaide v Collingwood in the grand final. Adelaide. Oh, Collingwood. I should say, I spoke about the Giants as being a good team and were my pick, but they were my pick at the start of the year. Collingwood, you hate to say it, but you've got to respect them. They are really, hands down, the best performing team, the most well-drilled team in the competition. incredible. And I can't mention any IP related stuff, but I've been doing some video editing for Collingwood over recent days. And have a look on their website. It's their match day pass video with Braden Maynard, and I cut that together. An incredible watch. And Braden Maynard, I was at the club working for the Pies when he was there. Great bloke, very funny dude. But I got an insight into some of the ways and methods that McRae got the team up and motivated. And he's such a good motivator. The way that he talks, the things that he says, you can see how he's such a great communicator and why the Pies respond in turn and why they just get his method of playing so well. He's an incredible coach. Wish Carlton had someone like McRae. Far out, really. I was in awe watching it. I was like, but I can't say the stuff that he said, but or the methods he's used, and I obviously couldn't use it in the video because it is IP related stuff. But geez, he's a great coach. Great coach. If Raul's another one, yeah, you could potentially put as a maybe not an outright C if you could put a VC on him. But are they playing? When are they playing? Are they playing last? Yeah, you have to put the C on him. Not bad, I reckon. Could you go for Raul? He has been a hit and miss in the past, but his recent run of games not too bad. Yeah, I'd probably go for Raul, mate. In all honesty, Holmes, I'm worried will get the tag from Winhager. Just a public service announcement as well. Any fans of Mountain Dew, apparently they're being discontinued in Australia, or at least in Victoria. I think it's Australia-wide, though. They've stopped stocking them at the likes of KFC and stuff. But if you are a fan of Mountain Dew, it's one of my guilty pleasures. It contains a shitload of sugar, hence the reason why I love it. But discontinued. I don't know when, how soon, but just thought I'd mention that because I was devastated. So make the most of them while you can. Responsibly, of course, because they are a very unhealthy drink because they're just filled with sugar. But anyway, Jonas, I picked GWS for the flag last year and this. They choked big in the finals last year. They did indeed. And the umpires handed Brisbane a few free goals as well. I agree with that. Footy, do you think I should go Grundy if that leaves me with a D5-6 of Mills and McCarthy and stops me from getting Whitfield? Who's in your flex, Footy? Because it comes down to who's in your flex as well. Like I've got McCarthy in my team as well, but he's in my flex. And Mills is my D6. So I'm probably a primo ahead of what you're talking about. Because Whitfield, I think, is going to be not a must-have, but he's a top 6 defender. And for his price point, I spoke about it on the podcast this week. Let me just find it. Little rundown. So this is virtually what I said. Where are we? Sorry, I've gone back. Here we go. He's ranked 8th, Whitfield, for defense in terms of average, but that, of course, contains his concussion score of 16. So his true average is actually 112.9, which ranks him number 1 in score ahead of Wanganeen, Miller, and Lockie Ash. So in context of the bargain that he is actually priced as the 16th most expensive defender. So that is pure insanity. So in your case, if you have a chance to get Whitfield, get on him. Get on him. You won't find a better value player at the moment, I think. Like Liberatore has been pretty good value. If not, listen to the podcast. Watch the podcast in terms of the trading candidates, because I speak of Whitfield, Libba, all these value guys. But if I didn't have Whitfield, I'd be trying very, very hard to get him. So I think I'd forego Grundy, in all honesty, to go for Whitfield and Gawn. Whitfield and Gawn, I think, probably scores more than who else was it? Grundy and who's your other option? I can't recall who your other option was, Footy. If you're going for Grundy. Grundy and who versus Gawn and Whitfield? I have 3 trades next week and could do 2 trades and get Whitfield if I go Grundy. But if I get Gawn, I only have 3 trades and could do 2 trades and get Whitfield if I go Grundy. So I can't comprehend what you're chatting about here, mate. So you're saying that you'd have to use all 3 trades to go and get Whitfield and Grundy compared to having 1 trade to Gawn and having trades left over. Is that it? Sorry, my brain at this time of hour just is not working. Sinclair and Fleck. Actually, so you're in the same position as me virtually. So you've got Sinclair. If you were to switch Sinclair into your defense and McCarthy into your flex, you're in the same amount of primos as me for defense-wise. So this would get you a 23rd primo and put McCarthy on the bench. Is that right? As a bit of a loophole? Yeah. I'm literally a fan of playing McCarthy for the rest of the season, in all honesty. I'm quite happy with him in my flex. Someone has to drop out. He's there as cover. And I think it's kind of fraught with danger going for McCarthy on the bench and trying to guess as to which player to loophole off field in order to get McCarthy on field. You've said there, 2 trades next week and 1 trade next week. So either having 1 or 2 trades left. Okay, gotcha. I would go down the Grundy route in that case. If you can get Grundy and Whitfield over multiple weeks, I would try and do that. You've said if I go Whitfield, 2 trades. If I go Gawn this week, 1 trade. If I go Grundy after next week. Okay. I'd go for Grundy in 1 trade personally. But are you talking about Grundy and Whitfield? Because you haven't spoken about the other player that you would be getting if you go for Grundy. Am I reading that correctly? So it's Grundy and Whitfield versus Gawn and Whitfield. But obviously, Gawn and Whitfield gives you that extra trade compared to Grundy and Whitfield giving you 1 trade. Is that right? I love this. I was waiting from this. I was waiting on this from you, Jonas. Don't drink soft drink. Just drink water and add hydrolyte tablets for a bit of flavor. I know, mate. I know. I've got my water here to offset the old sugary goodness. I don't smoke. I don't drink really unless it's socially out and about with mates. I've got to have some sort of crust. Got to have some sort of habit, and that's it. There is my sugary drinks. Let me have that. Let me have that. Otherwise, I'm not too bad. I do have junk food, probably more often than what I need to, but you got to have your vices, your fixes. You know, that's my guilty pleasure. Better than smoking, I think. Anyway, where are we? I've missed. Here we go. Velo. What the fuck? How can they stop Mountain Dew? Fuckers indeed. Really. Let's have a look at Mountain Dew. I just want to make sure, because I did hear this. I heard this from my wife, who watches a lot of TikTok, and it was on there. So I don't know if it was true. Yes. Oh no. Oh no. Can you read that? It says, yes, Mountain Dew has been discontinued in Australia. While it was previously available, it has been removed from the Australian market. The discontinuation includes various flavors of variants like Major Melon, Spark, and Purple Thunder. Discontinuation, no longer available in Australia. Fuck. So I'm going to have to go to like those US confectionery stores in order to get my fix of Mountain Dew. Fuck, it's annoying. It is annoying. Why? Why you do this? Why do you do this? I don't know. Where are we? I'm just trying to catch up to the chats, and we might end the stream in a moment actually because we just ticked over 2 a.m. A 2-hour stream. I was going to plan to be on here for about an hour, double that. Where are we? Yeah, Witt is massive unders, but Grundy has been massive, tough call. I have a couple of trades and 33k in the bank saving for finals because I normally always go for rank and bomb out in the finals. Makes sense, mate. It's pretty fair. But yeah, for finals especially, if you're in leagues, cash leagues, work leagues, all that sort of stuff, bragging rights, keep your trades. But I might go down to one, in all honesty, just because I need like the top player in my league, who's ranked number 1 at the moment, has Grundy, and if I was to face off against him when Grundy faces Matt Flynn in West Coast, good night, Irene. There's no way I'd be able to contend. Don't drink water as fish. Fucking very, very fair point. Also, Velo, you can't discount that. Footy. So this week is Grundy and Sinclair. But if I went Gawn and Sinclair, I get to Whitfield in trade. Okay. Gotcha. So it'd be Grundy and Sinclair. I'd go for Grundy. I'd go for the Grundy option, mate. But it, again, depends what you're going for. If it's leagues, if it's for overall rank, either way, you're able to get Whitfield. But you're obviously going to be down an extra trade. You'd be down for what, 1 trade over 4 weeks? Is that right? If you're using that second last trade next week. I think the ceiling from Grundy outdoes Gawn by, I would say, on average, 15 to 20 points each week over the course of the 6 rounds remaining. 6 rounds? 5 rounds? 6 rounds, including this one. So it could be 120, it could be 130, 140 points difference. Is it worth that extra trade? I don't know. Maybe. If you're in head-to-head leagues and stuff, cash leagues, I think it's worth it because Grundy, as a captaincy option, you'll blow away most opponents, if not all opponents that don't own Grundy. I had a look at my main cash leagues, and a majority of my opponents have gone for Gawn, which is fair enough. Like it costs you, just over 1K to make that trade. So I think there's a point of difference. I would go for Grundy over Gawn. No worries at all, Matt. Sorry, my brain hasn't been working to its sharpest. I have 7 defenders, 7 forwards, 7 mids, 2 rucks. So McCarthy 24th covers all lines. Very nice, mate. Just have to put up with Cherry and Horn-Francis is going to be out, mate. I think he's been ruled out for the rest of the season. From what they've said, I know they've said like officially he hasn't been ruled out yet, but they said in like all likelihood, virtually from the club, that he's going to be out for the season. So I would take that to the bank and say that they're going to put him on ice. We were chatting about earlier about teams putting players on ice early. If Port don't make finals, which they probably shouldn't, they're not going to bring him back. So you might have to be prepared to use a trade. But did you say you didn't have any trades left? No, you said you had a couple of trades. So I'd use one of those trades, mate, on getting Horn-Francis out. But you could probably hold fire at the moment if you don't have to play Horn-Francis on field. But if you're playing a rookie on field, you might have to be forced to use it. But Cherry, I mean, if you're happy enough to hold him, if you have cover, that's all good. Velo, or just buy it in bulk before you could also do that as well. But I don't know how expensive it is because I normally just get it like tonight, takeaway night, and Friday night had a pizza and Mountain Dew. It was actually through El Jana because my wife had El Jana, so she doesn't drink soft drinks by and large. So there you go, Jonas. You'd be happy with that. But yeah, Mountain Dew. Got to get your hands on it. No, we're all tired, mate, and my comprehension skills at the moment are very, very low. Yep, I get you. You said, yeah, next week. Gotcha. All good, mate. King Kong Grundy. Yeah, Horn-Francis, 99% dead this year. He's done. Put a fork in him. He is done. But I'm just waiting 2 weeks to trade him. Otherwise, all I can get. Gotcha, mate. Gotcha. Smart move. When you have a few more options up your sleeve. Who are you eyeing off? to drop in price in order to make a trade for him, mate. Obviously, you got your eye on someone. Be keen to know who. And then we might wrap things up. We've still got 17 people watching this stream. Is that for real? Some of you got me on multiple devices because you want to be nice and up our numbers. That's concerning. That's 15 people. 2 people have dropped off from the stream because we're at 2 a.m. And I know it's a Friday evening now, a Saturday morning, but here we go. Kennedy. Yeah, Kennedy is actually a decent price, isn't he? Or he will be, because he was 464.7k. And he had a pretty big break even, didn't he? Yeah, 124. Break even of 152. So I think he will drop around about 15k or thereabouts, roughly. So, oh shit, I can't even comprehend that. What is that? 450k or thereabouts, roughly. Very, very nice bargain. Only one for me. You're on the TV. I watch laptop when I comment. Oh, there you go. Geez, look at you, Jonas. Look at you. That counts as 2. Surely that counts as 2. But I think if you... Oh, wait. So are you watching us on your Jonas Goat account on 1, and then you're commenting on your burner account on Deadly's Real Daddy? Oh, there you go. Thank you, Velo. 454k approx. Only one for you. Are you chatting about trades you have left? Harry, g'day, Harry. How are you, mate? You're in, of course, Harry, in our SuperCoach with DR team preview chat on Twitter. I hope you're well, mate. So worth going cherry to DCam or wait till next week and go cherry to Dogger. This could also get me Horn Francis to Kennedy next week if Dogger scores under 112. That's a tough one. I really rate DCam in terms of his consistency. He's got a high floor. His ceiling can be thereabouts. Dogger as well. He's a different beast when, obviously he's playing number 1 ruck. I spoke about it earlier. I'd be waiting for Shrek to be rested. I think of those 2 away games that Freo have after this weekend. And I think he probably lifts his floor a little bit, and he probably is going to average 90 to maybe 100 for the rest of the season, maybe on par with DCam. But whatever option allows you to go Horn Francis to Kennedy next week, I would go down that route, mate. Only one account. Oh, okay. Just change the name for fun. I know you're a funny man, and I can actually tell it's you because of the way that your way with words virtually. I can tell it's you. Anytime you mention Carlton, I know it's you because very rarely does someone else mention Carlton. And I know these sort of profile pictures. By the way, your profile picture, is that the fat bloke from Monty Python's The Meaning of Life? Is that the one? The guy that eats like a mountain of food, and then the waiter comes over and says, "Sir, would you like a wafer of mint?" And he says, I cannot eat anymore. I will explode. No, it's just a wafer. And he ends up eating the wafer of mint and explodes. Is that him? Let us know, Jonas, because that looks very familiar, that avatar of yours. Otherwise, where's it from? Not signed in on the TV. Okay. Just watching us as a bit of a non. Gotcha. Sorry, you boys are just chatting about one account. I was making a gag about that. You didn't have to let me know, but good to know. Dogger only 93 average last 3 games. And that's part of the reason as well why I'm thinking about potentially punting Dogger to Grundy, which is a stupid thing to do. I normally wouldn't do it, but it's towards the end of the year. I need a point of difference from my cash leagues, and that he gives. And Dogger's been in my team. I've gone from TDK to Marshall to Dogger to Grundy. So I've churned out quite a few trades in this spot, but I've got money in the bank. Money to burn. It's in my pocket. Got to do it. There we go. Paul Bearer. Of course, The Undertaker's manager from WWF back in the day. Shit, like Deadly from Insight Fantasy Sports. I thought you were going to say JG, our other fellow content creator, who has quite the mow as well. I can actually, as you can see, I can grow a mow within. This is only a day of not shaving, and you can start to see his shadow. I'm a hairy man, as you can see. I'm kind of like Glenn Maxwell, hairy arms, and I get very, very hairy. Does not take long at all. I sneeze, and I grow a beard. Paul Berry, you're all across it as well, fella. Well done, mate. Walk the Earth, thank you for chatting to all of us. Much respect, bro. Good luck with your team this weekend. Thank you so much, mate, for joining us and for your support as well across the journey. Not just this channel, but the Blue Baggers Edge channel as well. But with that, ladies and gents, we might wrap things up there. Really do need some rest. Brain is mush as it is normally. So at this time of hour, it is complete mush. But if you are a fellow bagger, as I mentioned, please join us on my alternate sister channel, my Blue Baggers channel, my Blue Baggers Edge channel. If you're a fellow bagger, check us out tomorrow evening after the game. We'll be doing our Blue Baggers Edge review live stream. We will whack up a link as well for any fellow baggers out there. Now, Jonas, I'm looking at you. I'm yet to chat to you live on stream. You don't have to put your camera on. You can even put up that little avatar of Paul Bearer as your face on stream if you want. But I'm keen to chat to all of you out there. That includes you, Walk the Earth Dead. Don't know your real name, mate, but be keen to have you on. Likewise, Velo. We chat a fair bit, mate. And yourself as well, Jonas. Let us know. Let us know. Doesn't matter who we're playing. We're going to lose. And now it is Melbourne. It is Melbourne. I've tipped the D's, because I don't think we're going to win another game until we face Essendon in round 24, which again isn't a given. But until they sack Michael Voss, the players are protesting. They don't give a shit about him. They're sick of playing under his ridiculous system and game plan, and I don't blame them. I'd be the same as well. And they've clocked off. But hey, as Baggers fans, we don't clock off. We don't clock off at all. We're here and watch them. We review them. We preview them over on Blue Baggers Edge. So go and check out that link there. Give us a like, give us a sub. Be kind to a fellow bagger, a struggling bagger that goes through and previews and reviews my team's matches. Putrid season that it has been. For that, I'll be internally grateful. So thank you very much. And as a fellow Don, of course, you've said, got a shot. Good luck, guys. Hope you win. Need a better pick. Get out of it. It'd be interesting to see, like, when we face off, because I think you said you're a Dons man, who actually wins out of that game? Who wins? Who dares wins? That is the question. That is the question on everyone's lips. No one truly knows until they face off against each other. But again, ladies and gents, we will see you potentially across over on that channel tomorrow evening after the game, around about 11:30, maybe a little bit later, 11:45. So it will be a bit of a latey stream. Actually, it might be an earlier stream, because it might be, by the time the game's finished, it might be around about 10:45, maybe 11. So we might try to aim for 11. We will check it out. And of course, hopefully you can join us there. We will whack up the link there for you to jump on, have a yarn, chat to me face to face, and review what will be a scintillating encounter, no doubt, where our 6 small forwards do fuck all, and Frankie Evans, yet again, does fuck all. Now, if you mentioned as well, just before I sign off, I've actually jokingly said in my preview stream of the Melbourne game, I mentioned if Frankie Evans has 2 tackles, kicks a goal, I will say openly, I'll apologize about Frankie Evans and to Michael Voss for bringing him in, because the reason I say 2 tackles is because he's averaging 2 tackles a game as a pressure forward that Voss loves to bring him into the team for, but yet he's averaging 2 tackles a game. And he's averaging 0.2 goals a game as a small forward. So if he, and I said originally 2 goals, if he kicks 2 goals and 2 tackles, I will apologize. I'm gonna lower the bar a little bit, because that's what we like to do at Carlton for 2025, where there's no bar that's been set. There's no standards. So hence, all he has to do is kick a goal, 2 tackles, and tomorrow evening you'll hear me say, Frankie Evans, you're in the team for round 20. And Michael Voss, you were right. So check that out. Have a good evening, ladies and gents. What's left of it? Have a good sleep, I should say. Thank you, Velo. Will indeed, mate. Give him a nice little cuddle. He's an absolute champion and the cutest. But I'm not really big on babies, but obviously I'm biased. But he's the cutest I've ever seen. And thank you, Footy, again, mate. Join us and listen to us. Exactly right. If you're an opposition fan like you are, Footy, let us know. Jump on, have a yarn, take the piss out of Carlton. We do it ourselves anyway. So join in the fun. But thank you, mate. Cheers to you, Jonas, as always, mate. Best of luck. And good night to you, Footy, as well. Good stream. Good to have you on board. And Jonas, lastly, Evans might receive a handball on the goal square. Well, that'll count. It'll still count. But again, he needs 2 tackles and a goal. That's all he needs. Will he get it? I don't know. Because we can't justify his spot in the team. But hey, he'll go back to the VFL, perform like a champion, and get a game off the back of that. Because Michael Voss, he's a stubborn prick, and he doesn't know when to stop persisting with players that don't have the talent at senior level. But that's it, ladies and gents. Thank you as always for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the other side. See you, bye.